guess we're gonna try it. I do not see any chat here. If you're here, say something. Uh, I don't know. Is this working?
I see YouTube says it's starting. I'm not seeing it on the other ones yet.
It has the stream starting thing still.
No, I can see your face. Oh, hold on. Looks like Twitch is moving. Okay, see that.
Weird. It's moving so slow.
Oh, usually it connects at close to the same time.
I know. I'm surprised by that. All right. Well, while we're rolling in, let me just read some chats then that I missed. FOD said, "You think you could fix Jazzy Crockett, cake eater?" Well, is she going to stop taking big money? I want Jasmine Crockett to stop taking corporate money. That's what I want. Matthew said Pete is prior military, smart, salt of the earth. Talking about Pete Buttigieg. I'm just I don't know. Am I a fanboy about Pete Buttigieg, Jen?
A little bit.
All right, a little bit. Judah said Steven is a cockwomble. That's tough, Steven. Yeah, Victor said, have you looked at Deja Fox running in CD7 in TUS? What's TUS? TUS? You said it was Deja Fox? I don't know if I've heard that name or not. Let's see. Doesn't seem like TUS is a state. Deja Fox with 2 X's. That sounds like a made-up name, honestly. Oh, Arizona 7. Oh, wait, that's me. I think, right? I think I'm in Arizona 7. What am I? Let's see, Arizona. I can't remember what I'm in. That sounds right.
Thanks for the sub.
Nope, that's incorrect. That's down at the border. Okay, sweet. I don't know much about Deja Fox. Looks like she's been endorsed by the DNC. So, not sure on that one. Thank you for the heads up. That was Victor. Betsy said, $5 train. Alec. I read that one from Alec. All right. One. Sorry, guys. This is a headache today. Let me get us back to where we're supposed to be. Also want shout out for the first stream because I don't want it to go unnoticed. Where was it? Here. The leader in the clubhouse for gifts on TikTok. That was Peacemaker in the first live. Takes the win from the first live. So now we've got a second live competition. We'll see how everybody goes. Right now, Amanda's on top with 4 coins. Make sure if you're on TikTok, help us get those likes back up, share, and then just remember that gifting helps us be able to stay on TikTok. Tim, thank you for joining the Dollar Train. And Kayla said for the gift code, thanks RTP gang for all you do. Keep up the good work. Bang bang. I assume you meant Niner gang, even though it says minor gang. But I appreciate that. Bang bang Niner gang. All right, back to the show. Thanks guys for your patience. Sorry about that. Hopefully the internet is fixed now. And we're moving on. This is an ad. I thought this is a tweet, but it's also an ad. Did they tell me they got rid of it too? This is Representative Leo Biasucci, who's running for Arizona House. Now the Republicans are blaming the Federal Reserve for all of their problems. Again, this is weirdly an ad saying the Fed is screwing every single person trying to buy a home in America right now. $28.27 for a home with 7% interest versus $17.91 for a home with 3% interest. FYI, inflation's at 2%, so the does is just anti-Trump, and there's no reason behind it. No idea what Trump's plans are on tariffs. He has not given us any concrete plans, and the Republicans are screaming at the top of their lungs at the Federal Reserve to just lower the rates, guys. Just lower them. Could you just lower them? My question is, why do you think the Federal Reserve would keep rates high? If it's not just to screw Trump, why would they do it? Because I think that's your only argument. The only reason the rates are higher is because it doesn't make sense right now to lower those rates. Doesn't make sense because we don't know. It's hard to project out the future. We've got a big, beautiful bill that every economist says is going to increase deficit spending. We've got tariffs, which are a massive tax on the middle class. I think I think Besant said we were going to take in like $1 trillion. That's just a middle class tax. What are the repercussions going to be on prices for the middle class there? We don't even know what is specifically is being tariffed. How the fuck could we project it? This is the problem that we have. Like, how can we project into the future if you guys don't give us concrete answers on what you're doing now? And so now Republicans, in order to run, they're spending their ad money to criticize the Federal Reserve, for the Federal Reserve not just bowing to Donald Trump. I think that's weird. I think it's a losing strategy too. I don't know how Leo's doing, but I hope he loses terribly. Here's Trump in the Oval yesterday, talking about his latest idea on tariffs. Let's just, you know how you guys hate how expensive pharmaceuticals are? You know how we all hate that? You know what would make pharmaceuticals a lot cheaper? A 200% tariff.
And because of the tariffs, they're not going to pay 25, 30, 40, 50%, 70 and 100%. And we'll be announcing something very soon on pharmaceuticals. We're going to give people about a year and a half to come in, and after that they're going to be tariffed if they have to bring the pharmaceuticals into the country, the drugs and other things into the country. They're going to be tariffed at a very, very high rate, like 200%. We'll give them a certain period of time to get their act together. But they were all here, now they all left. They went to other places because we allowed, people that sat in this room allowed it to happen. And I don't allow it to happen. The people in this room don't allow it to happen. So we're going to be announcing pharmaceuticals, chips, and various couple of other things, you know.
Pharmaceutical, I don't know if it's pharmaceutical chips or if he's talking about new tariffs coming on microchips. Not sure what he's saying there, but this is insane. You want to, again, they say that they want to bring manufacturing jobs back. It will take years, perhaps decades, to get pharmaceutical manufacturing back into the United States. And he's basically saying, we're going to give you a little bit of time, and then we're going to slap 200% tariffs on you. Have fun with your insurance costs, folks. If you're not on insurance, have fun dying. I don't know. 200% increase? That's the price you will pay. I want to pay a 200% increase on their pharmaceuticals. I love Trump so much. He's making pharmaceuticals so expensive. This is what I wanted. All right, AI trucker, you suck.
It looks like YouTube and Twitch are frozen again. Looks like TikTok's running.
Is what? Lagging?
Okay, hold on. YouTube's back. TikTok looks like it's running. YouTube is back. Twitch is down.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Sorry. It might be a bad day. All right, here's Trump, the rest of Trump here.
Big ones. We did steel, as you know, they're 50%. We did aluminum, 50%. Lumber just came out.
Why don't you announce copper?
And we did cars. And now today we're doing copper.
Copper. What would that tariff be on? The section tariff?
I believe that.
Why? Why are we doing tariffs? What are we doing? We're just going to keep trying to tariff the shit out of people until they take a bad deal? I'm just wondering at what point is Trump and his team going to go, all right, sir, they called our bluff. It's time we change things up. AI trucker, you're not a real person. I appreciate it though. You're one of the best AI bots I've ever seen. Here they try to spin it even on Fox News. I don't know who this guy is. I was trying to figure out who the fuck this guy is. He works for the Trump administration. I couldn't figure out who he was. They didn't put his name up here. If anybody knows who this is, I'm not sure who he is. But here he is on with Fox Business this morning talking about the tariffs.
Well, now, one problem, though, that I can think of, the president today is suggesting that we may have 200% tariffs on 200% tariffs on pharmaceuticals right now that take years to develop the domestic capacity to grow. What do we do in the meantime?
Well, what you do in the meantime is you make it easy for industry to invest and to build the facilities they need to do the domestic manufacturing.
Yeah. They don't have an answer. This is going to skyrocket prices. What are we going to do about that? Well, we're going to incentivize more people to invest. Who does that help? Who possibly is that going to help, pal? A 200% increase incentivizes people to invest, and then what? And then you got to build out the manufacturing. In some cases, you're going to just have to create a whole new company. Then you have to build out distribution. Then you have to build out your contacts and your sales distribution lines. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. AI Trucker's got to go. Can we get rid of AI Trucker? I've already got enough issues today with the internet. I don't need those guys saying, my prices, oh no's, over and over. AI Trucker's got to be blocked forever. We don't do just spam in here. What are we going to do? Trump people, explain it. Explain how this is a good thing for you. 200% increase in pharmaceuticals, and we can't produce them right now. So you guys are now comfortable with a 200% increase in the price of pharmaceuticals until they're manufactured here? How do we sustain that? How do we afford that? We just cut 13 million people off of Medicaid. Pharmaceutical prices are already going up. Insurance prices are already going up. This is going to skyrocket your insurance. This is going to, like, everything this administration does is so fucking it's the opposite of the right thing to do. Whoever it was we were talking to at the end last night or on Admir's Live was basically saying, yeah, they're trying. Oh, actually, it was Hoodie. Hoodie and other Republicans legitimately think they're just trying to destroy the economy, that they're just trying to burn it all down so that they can start over with the stuff that they like, and the stuff that they don't is gone, and we can hand over the power to the oligarchs. Give me a different explanation for what we're doing here. Please. Give me a different explanation that makes any fucking sense other than they're trying to fuck over the entire system. And if you're somebody who's like, yeah, that's what I wanted, I'm concerned. I'm concerned when you say that's what you wanted, because what's next? And you'll say, I don't know. I just trust Trump. That's where we're at in this country, where Trump is doing things that on their face blatantly don't make any sense, that are going to hurt Americans. And even Fox Business is like, but what the fuck are we doing? And they're just like, trust the process. Trust Trump. What incentives does Donald Trump have to remake our economy in a better way? What incentive? As far as I can tell, Donald Trump's current incentives are to skyrocket the price of cryptocurrency, to allow the destruction of Palestine to be completed, and to invest in foreign projects. That's as far as I can tell. Trump seems to be focused almost exclusively with his business interests on building shit outside of America and raking in as much money as he possibly can while in America. I don't see any part of Donald Trump who is everybody would agree Donald Trump is a very selfish person. He doesn't do anything that doesn't benefit him. None of this benefits him. This benefits his only the people who have paid him. Only the people who have bribed him. The only people that benefit from this are the people who already have most of the assets, who are gobbling up land right now, who are gobbling up companies, who are collecting assets. So that when the dollar fails, if it does fail, and we're headed that way, guess what? They're still good. You reset the financial markets, but the people at the top who have everything already, they maintain everything because they'll keep the assets. They'll keep the land, which we need. They'll keep the businesses, which will get bailouts. You see how this works? You see how this works? And it's just right under your nose. They don't have any explanation for this. I hate being this conspiratorial. Somebody give me a better explanation of how this is working. Tim, not like the Chinese. Goddamn, Tim. Goddamn, Tim. Tim, you're here every fucking day. Learn something. You know that thing that like makes it hard for you to speak clearly? That's Donald Trump's dick. Take it out of your mouth, please. Take that out. This is crazy. You're just screaming whataboutisms into the void because you don't have answers to this either. None of you do. Can somebody please explain the economic plan here? Cut taxes for billionaires, rip Medicaid out of poor people's hands, rapidly inflate the price of goods, put a massive tax on the American people. How is this a solution? Oh, and by the way, add to the deficit. On top of all of this massively increased deficit spending, please, someone, you can message Jen on Discord. It's JENNDUBB1. Please come explain this to me like this makes any fucking sense. Please. I just want to hear how this makes sense. China's buying all our farmland and you are fine with that? No, you guys are fine with that. What have you done to stop China from buying the farmland, Tim? What have you guys done? By the way, I am just as nervous about Bill Gates buying all of our farmland as I am about China. I'm just as worried about the Mormon Church being the largest landowner in the state of Florida than I am about China. I'm concerned about people gobbling up assets because they see a financial reset. Yes, I have a problem with China buying that land. I have the same problem with our billionaire class buying up all of that land and buying up all the assets. It seems like we're moving into a reset where everybody who's in control knows a reset is coming and they're gobbling up all the assets. And you guys are gobbling up all of their balls. You're just bootlicking your way into a reset where you are at the bottom. Congratulations. This is why capitalism is so flawed. Is because every 10 to 20 years, we need a massive reset. And we're about to have it. There's no, yes, JD Vance buying up farmland. JD Vance's company buying up farmland. Where are they taking investments from out of this, Tim? Where are they getting investments from? Are they taking it from the Saudis? Are they taking it from the Qataris? If you're not a capitalist, what are you? Don't be something. Here's my best advice to everybody always. Don't be anything. Don't be a Republican. Don't be a Democrat. Don't be a liberal. Don't be a leftist. Don't be a socialist. Don't be a capitalist. Don't be a communist. Because no matter if you set an ideology, your mind is closed. And you become a team player for whatever fucking ideology you fight for. Don't be a white nationalist. Don't be Antifa. Don't be any of these things. Don't make your entire identity an ideology. It's fucking stupid. That's what all cults are. All cults are just ideologically driven control machines. Don't be any of those things. I think that people are lazy. I think that people get real lazy, and so they ascribe themselves a label, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm this thing," and so instead of knowing anything about this, I just get to demonize other things. That's why virtually every capitalist that I brought up, and you're welcome to come up. I would invite a capitalist to come up, explain to me what capitalism is. Because I don't even think you guys know what capitalism is. I saw Ted Cruz the other day talking about somebody making profit, and they're like, oh, no, was it Ted Cruz? I think it was Ted Cruz. They were talking about AOC and how AOC sells shirts, and the shirts are $40. I remember, not Ted Cruz. It was Mr. Wonderful. And Mr. Wonderful's like, behind every socialist is a capitalist, because AOC, her cost per shirt is $12 and she sells it for $40. Therefore, capitalism. Wrong. Therefore, profit. Profit exists in socialism. Capitalism is capital, right? It's the private ownership of the means of production. It has nothing to do with profits. There's profits in socialism. So the reason that I say don't put a label on yourself is because capitalists think that everything good is capitalism and everything bad is socialism. And that's just not true. That you can have profits in socialism too. You just share the profits. In fact, if you have profits in socialism, it's better. It's a more distributive process. It equally distributes the labor or the revenue from everybody's labor. Oh no. Yeah. Sorry, guys. The Wi-Fi is bad today. If it's glitchy, it's glitchy. If it crashes one more time, we'll call it a day. If it crashes the fuck out. Can I just ask you guys one thing, though? Can we just leave Jen alone about that? Jen doesn't need to be flooded about the Wi-Fi. It is what it is. Right. I think I finished that clip. And just a reminder, we are crowdfunded. I know that it's shitty today. We may have to end it. But while you're here, if it's working for you, we would greatly appreciate any of your support. The ways that you can pay are either that way or that way, depending on how you're watching this. And I'll read any comment that you have to say. And please remember, we have debates this weekend. On Friday, I'll be debating Andrew Wilson on the Raging Tomato YouTube channel. If you would like to watch it on our private stream, where you don't have to sit with the white nationalists, you can just make sure you're subscribed on YouTube, Twitch, or TikTok, and we'll get you there. Guys, this is a me Wi-Fi problem today. It's just too hot. I pay for the fastest internet. It's like 2 gig. internet out here. It's the fastest you can get, but it is remarkably hot in Phoenix. And when we have hot days, we have a lot of outages. So deal with me. For the dumbest person in Congress, I think we have moved on past Lauren Boebert. I think we've moved past Marjorie Taylor Greene. And it was so very clearly is Tim Burchett. Tim Burchett is a fucking lunatic. He's also a very dumb person. And he gets very angry and very passionate about shit that he does not understand. And here's an example of that. The debate's at 9:15 Eastern on Friday night.
Well, that's one thing that the CBO and any of the bean counters never really take into consideration is the incredible economic outlook for our country. I mean, can you imagine energy if we remove a lot of bureaucracy? Our nuclear facilities take 8 to 10, maybe 15 years to get online. You've got a new man at the EPA that's turning them over pretty quick, and people are talking about coal again, which I think is great.
Why is coal great?
Right. We haven't had a major discovery in solar in over 20 years, and wind is.
What are you gonna discover? What do you mean we haven't had a major discovery in solar? Like we didn't find a new sun? What are you talking about? The major discoveries in oil are new oil reserves. Are you saying that we haven't found a new sun? I don't know what he's talking about. This is incoherent just to like worship coal.
Very subjective and it's very expensive. And there's a reason, as President Trump told me, I believe it was Thursday, that there's no windmills in China, but 99% of them that are sold are made in China. So I think there's a lot of things.
It is a very sad day when a member of Congress cites the President of the United States and bases his opinion by citing the President of the United States. And the President of the United States is a fucking idiot and a liar. China has more wind power capacity than any other country in the world. In 2022, the last time they counted, there were 11,000 new wind turbines installed in China. That's the new ones. 695 of them were offshore. That brings their total. Now remember, this dumb bitch is citing another dumb bitch, and that dumb bitch said that China has no turbines. In fact, China has 181,660 wind turbines as of 2022, and no country creates more wind power capacity than China. Why? This is why we're fucked. Is because we have people like Tim Burchett who have said two things in this comment that are absolutely insane. Number one, the president told me that China doesn't have wind energy. And number two, that we have to use coal because God put it there. Do we understand how stupid this is? Do we understand how stupid this man is? Do we understand yet how stupid our president is? He just gets up there and he says shit that a 4-second Google search would debunk. And then where does the chat go? Tim, where are you? Where's Tim Pfeiffer? Where are you at, Tim? Tim, can you tell me whether or not Donald Trump was correct when he said that China doesn't create any wind power? Where'd Tim go? Where'd those Republicans go just a minute ago? Where'd we go? We're out now? Oh, I gotta go. I gotta do something. I don't have time at work. Some of us have jobs. It'll be one of those. This is from the New York Times. This is a chart out of an article from, I want to say it was from March. I want to show you the difference between China and America. And cue the people in the chat, be like, why don't you move to China? Oh, so you think China's doing so good? Oh, what, China doesn't have labor problems? Yeah, China's a problem. But there's a lot of things China does better than us. There's a lot of things, including energy. These are exports of clean energy. This is China. The yellow here represents what China is exporting. 65 billion lithium-ion batteries. This little blue line is what the United States is exporting. There's a massive demand for lithium-ion batteries. The United States is doing none of that. China, 65 billion. United States, 3 billion. Solar panels and modules. China, 40 billion. United States, 69 million. The whole world is clamoring for solar panels. The whole world desperately wants renewable energy. And China's like, don't worry, we'll make it for you. And in America, we're like, Jesus didn't intend us to use the sun for energy. Didn't we use the sun for energy all before we actually had like used fossil fuels? Yeah, but that's when Jesus wanted it. And now we don't want to use the sun for energy. He wants to use the dinosaurs. I think some of you don't believe in dinosaurs. Electric cars, China, 38 billion. United States, 12 billion. And this number is from 2023. We've seen Tesla electric vehicle sales crater. And Chinese electric vehicle sales are rising. Everything the world wants, China is creating right now. Everything the world doesn't want, crude oil. Here's the United States, 117 billion. China, 844 million. Natural gas, United States, 42 billion. China, 3 billion. Coal, 15 billion. China, 1 billion. This is the story. This is the whole story. These people in the blue over here on the right, they line Republicans' pockets with cash. They send them on trips. They get them elected every year. And they know where the world is headed, and they want the United States to force other countries to stay on oil, to stay on natural gas, and to stay on coal. And it's not working. It's why our exports are dropping. It's why clean energy is rising. And we're looking at this as a country, as Republicans who are in charge, and they're going, you know what? Maybe we ought to just compete with China even less. Oh, you know, I think that the truth is, I think everybody's just going to want oil. Nobody fucking wants oil. Everybody wants clean energy. Everybody that's here, all you Republicans want clean energy. If I gave you the option, whether or not to pay $0 a year for gas and oil and natural gas and have no utility bill for electricity, $0. Would you take that? Or would you say, we should stay on the system where we have to pay? Every one of you would take it. Oil is necessary, but everybody wants to stop using it. And eventually then oil isn't necessary anymore. You have to use oil, you have to use coal to build up the existing infrastructure. But part of the reason that China's growth is accelerating at a much quicker rate is because of the infrastructure, the renewable energy infrastructure that they have created that we don't create. So now they're able to more quickly produce energy. It's cleaner, it's renewable. They're able to start weaning off of coal. They're able to wean off of oil. And what you have is you have a bunch of dipshit Republicans touting the same line they've been doing for 10 years, 20 years. For as long as I've been alive, Republicans have been saying this to argue against clean energy. They say, well, look at China. Yeah, they're doing clean energy, but look how much coal, look how much oil they're using. That's right. They used a lot, and they polluted a lot because they understood that they had to use their existing energy supply to create their new energy supply. And now they're starting to use less. Now they're starting to wean off of it. And in our country, we're like, China still pollutes. Yeah, they do. But they're about 15 years ahead of us now. We are falling way behind, and this administration is going to put us further behind because we are cutting investments into solar energy. We're cutting investments into wind energy. We're cutting investments into thermal energy. And we're saying, your expensive gas. Enjoy your dirty air. All because you got, legitimately, Republicans have an ideological opposition to renewable energy. Whether you want to admit that to yourselves or not, the knee-jerk reaction that you get, that pit in your stomach, that anger that you feel, every time somebody mentions renewable energy, that is something that's been conditioned into you. They've taught you to believe that renewable energy is some communist hellhole idea that doesn't work. It works marvelously, and everybody wants it because nobody wants to pay for energy. People would like to have clean, renewable energy. China now is in Cuba. Remember how you guys hate Cuba? From the same article, officials at a February event announced that China was participating in a project to modernize Cuba's entire electrical grid. What are they doing? They're using 55 solar parks that will be built this year, and another 37 by 2028 for a total of 2,000 megawatts, which is a massive undertaking. When complete, would represent nearly 2/3 of present-day demand. That allows Cuba to have renewable energy and stop relying on who? Oil producers. This is allowing Cuba to be self-reliant, and China's recognizing that. And China is the one that's going to give them their infrastructure, while the United States goes, let's do more oil, please. The largest investor in the world when it comes to energy is China. Look at this. This is energy investment by country. China, $885 billion. United States second at 589. And we're cutting this. All of these countries are increasing their energy investment, and the United States is going to cut this, and we're going to go backwards to oil. China knows what it's doing. And the difference between these two investments is in the United States, this $589 billion is going to be invested, and then people are going to profit off of that, and will cut their taxes. The people that are going to profit off this are the rich in those profits. So China has made a smart investment where they get a return on investment. China is collecting revenue that allows them to reinvest in other projects and to reinvest in their education, to reinvest in their infrastructure. And why are they allowed to do that? Because they didn't have a 100-year campaign of people being afraid of the word socialism. China is whooping our ass every day. I don't know how many, like, I guess we just do this every day till you guys figure it out. And then this fucking idiot. Here's the clip from Trump. He just fucking lies. He just gets up on a stage in front of his wife who can't stand him, and he just lies to you about how China doesn't do renewable energy.
China's right now building 68 coal generating plants, and we're putting up.
There we go. Why not move there? Did we not predict the response from all these Republicans? They will respond to anything but the data. Why don't you move there? We already did that. We already called that out. Why won't you respond to this? Why don't you respond? I don't care if my president's a dipshit. I like dipshits. I'd rather have a dumb country.
Wind. It doesn't work, I will tell you. Aside from ruining our fields and our valleys and killing all the birds and being very weak and very expensive, all made in China. I noticed something, that with all of the windmills that China sends us, where we waste our money because it's the most expensive energy, I see that, they make about 95% of them, the wind turbines. I have never seen a wind farm in China. Why is that? They
have the world's largest wind farm in China. Pink says, what does Donald Trump's military background and bad internet have in common? No service. That is beautiful. Did I miss any here? Let me double check. I haven't been checking. Amber said for Jay and Jen, it's Librarian Amber. How are you? I've missed you. Carrie Me said internet boost. Thank you for that. We do need the internet boost. Just a reminder, guys, we do rely on your generosity to keep going. Update on top viewers in TikTok, Illusion of Choice running away with it. And coming in second place, God, which is crazy because I thought God was all powerful. I'm surprised to see God coming in second. Still Magnolia, Cassie, and Gemini rounding out the top 5. Thank you guys for your support over on TikTok. Let me get to this next part here. All right, so here's the truth about Chinese energy. When Trump says we don't have wind farms, this graph is going to show you just how far ahead China is. These are installed numbers by manufacturing capacity. Blue is China. Light blue is the EU. This other blue is India, Japan, Korea. The United States is in green. So this first subsection is in regards to batteries, anodes, cathodes, cells, and electric cars. You can see when it comes to anodes, we're looking at about like 98% installed, like 85%. The wafers were at 90%. Cells about 85%. Modules about 80%. And again, look at the U.S. in these. That's the green. We're not even fucking close. When it comes to wind, the blades 60%. Nacelle, I don't know what that is. Nacelles, I don't know what that means. 62%. Towers. About 50%. U.S. is nowhere near. I don't know what electrolyzers are. I know what heat pumps are. That's the only place that's even relatively close is on heat pumps. When it comes to materials, aluminum, ammonia, iron, steel, obviously China is just like quadruple, sometimes 10x the size of everybody else. They are so far ahead of us in manufacturing. And our response to this, for some reason, is to drill more oil and to open up coal mines. And the reason that we're so concerned about energy is that this administration is also talking about AI energy. And AI, quantum computing, these massive data centers require an extraordinary amount of energy production. And so what Trump is doing to help his donors is he's like, look, we have energy here. We have oil. We have coal. We have natural gas. And these people all paid me a bunch of money. And so instead of investing in renewable energy, I'm going to pay back my donors, and I'm going to put in all these data centers, and I'm gonna put in supercomputers, and we're gonna cost. The reason we're so far behind is because of the fossil fuel industry and because of their massive influence, specifically on Republicans, and their ability to get people to do the wrong thing and think that like renewable energy is evil and it's the trail to communism. They're doubling and tripling down on solar over in China. If you look at this, these are their solar additions, their solar capacity. You can look at 2023, 2024, 2025, 2023's in black. You started to see an uptick late 2023. Then you saw a massive uptick late 2024. Look what they're doing. They're already outpacing their solar capacity January, February, March, April, and massive increases in May. They are increasing their capacity, which is renewable. The sun isn't going anywhere. The sun isn't going anywhere. What did you say? Hard pass. Oh. The future of energy is nuclear. Maybe. The future of American energy is probably nuclear because we're not going to do renewable. But let me ask you the question, Dukes. Like, if we could create renewable energy, and Elon Musk, by the way, who one of the things he does know is he does know about renewable energy. I think it's something like 100 square miles basically could power the entire United States with a solar farm. So why do nuclear if we can do renewable energy? And by the way, I think that the future is probably some sort of mix like China's doing of nuclear energy and renewable energy. But the one thing that for certain is not the future is fossil fuels. The one thing that certainly is not the future is coal, is natural gas. Those are not the future. Those are the past. And we are doubling down on the past while everybody else accelerates past us. This is what conservatism gets you. It gets you tried and failed policies that are that for some reason sit along ideological lines. Now you should be able to well, let me skip that. Actually, I'm gonna get down to Epstein. Here's what we were citing earlier: Trump losing it on reporters for having the audacity. This took place yesterday. Remember that 2 days ago, this guy, this slouchy, painted up man here, his administration released statements saying that Epstein unalived himself, that it was a self-unaliving. They released that. And the next day, reporters asked him a question about it, and he thought that wasn't fair.
He did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the set?
Yeah, sure.
Hey, Pam, could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
He didn't want her to answer this, by the way. He's like, do you want to waste the time? He set her up. She missed it. She missed all the social cues. I don't know if the Ozempic fucks with her brain, but she missed all that. Trump clearly didn't want her to talk about this. And she's like, nah, I'll talk about it.
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems...
This is such a political bullshit game. Guess what? We covered the floods. We cover everything he's talking about. We cover. we can also cover this. This is somebody said in the comments yesterday, and I think it was prescient that shit. What's that guy's name with the shitty hair? That was Trump's. He was like Giuliani's buddy. He had the terrible comb over. Fuck, what's his name? He went to Ukraine with Giuliani. Somebody help me with the name. Anyways, he said in his experiences with Trump that if Trump gets mad, that's when he's lying. It's not Roger Stone. Lev Parnas is his name. Yeah, there you go. Manhattan Child got it. Lev Parnas. This is bizarre. You can talk about all this shit, but frankly, who he's getting upset about are mostly his supporters. Trump's supporters are the ones that were upset about Epstein. They're the ones that are upset. They're the ones that are raising these questions. Left-wing media abandoned the Epstein stuff forever ago. But Trump's people, the MAGA people, they've kept that alive. And Trump didn't have a problem with this question a few months ago when he said, oh, I'll release the Epstein files. He didn't have a problem with it when they came to the White House and left with the Epstein files binders that said the most transparent administration in history. He had no problem with that. He only seems to have a problem with it now because it's making his administration look stupid and incompetent, and they're looking like they're lying. Every one of them said there was a list. They all said that they knew that there was a list and it was being gatekept by the Biden DOJ. And now that they're in, they're like, oh, never mind, no list. They could all, by the way, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Bajina, they could all get up there and they could be like, you know what? I was wrong. I see the information now. I was lying to you. I was hyperbolic. I told you I was sure that there was a list. I was just saying that to sell more supplements or to sell more subscribers to my podcast. I'm sorry. I lied. They could say that, but they won't. So now they have to just like figure out this middle ground where they just like let it hang in the air. And that's the uncomfortableness that Republicans are feeling right now. And for a lot of Republicans, this is the first time they've seen this. This is the first time they've recognized it. It happens all the time. Trump, the amount of scandals following Trump that just were left unresolved, it's thousands of them. And they're used to being able to just move along because the MAGA voters just move along. They just keep going. But for the first time in recent memory, the MAGA are like, we're not moving on, dude. This was like our thing. This is what kept us going. We've all been beaten off to this idea that you were going to cuff a bunch of Democrats and march them off to prison. And they were all going to be friends with Epstein. You've been leading us to believe that this was going to happen forever. And now that we finally have the opportunity, you're telling us there's just no list? Nah, we're not okay with that. It's a real problem for this administration. And again, it's not coming from the left. This is all inside. Matt Gaetz, who I think Matt Gaetz is clearly campaigning to replace Pam Bondi when she likely inevitably gets fired. That's what Trump does. He fires his AGs. Here's Matt Gaetz with Russian propagandist, paid propagandist, a guy nobody should ever believe because he's on everybody's payroll. And Matt Gaetz, who is a sex predator, they say they're not buying it.
You got a 99%
on Epstein. Bill Barr is the one that needs to be called in to give sworn testimony on what happened there at Bureau of Prisons, because that is not. There's just no way that the story you're getting is the real story there. No freaking way, and Bill Barr knows it.
I think most people believe that, right? Like it's like no way that that's.
I actually think it was I actually think that on Epstein, it was a foreign government that took him out. I don't think it was a domestic enterprise.
Really?
I do. I'm not going to say which one, but I don't think it was domestic inspired to take out of him. I think that was a foreign operation, government sponsored.
So foreign operation took out Epstein inside of our prison.
Yes.
So they must have been allowed to.
Isn't it weird that they're dancing around let's just be clear who they're talking about. He's talking about Israel. He's not saying it because he doesn't want to be smeared by some of the MAGA who think anytime you talk about Israel, you're anti-Semitic. But that's what he's saying. He's talking about Israel. We're certainly talking about Israel. But these two people, they've got problems when it comes to Israel. Like they have to be very, very careful with that line. They're not allowed to say Israel, but that's what they're talking about. And it does make sense. It makes perfect sense.
I think it was
And by the way, I don't think there's a list. I'm just going to say I don't think there's a list. I think that what's in those documents is absolute proof that Epstein was a agent of Israel or a asset of Israel, and I think that our CIA probably knew about it, and I think that they didn't care, and I think that they used. There's probably a lot of other names in there who are assets, and Israel and our intelligence is looking at this, and they just don't give a fuck about somebody abusing children. That's the reality. They view this as a bigger mission, and my guess is Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Bajina all sat down and they were told, "Hey, shut the fuck up. We've got bigger issues here. We're not going to blow all of our intelligence. We're not going to blow all of our cover for Jeffrey Epstein. So you guys are going to go out and you're going to toe the line. That's what you're going to do." And they're like, "Okay." And they went out and they towed the line. That's what I think what happened. And that's why we're not getting answers. That's why people are frustrated with Trump, though, is because Trump promised to release all these documents. He promised to release all this information, and we're getting nothing. And they're saying there's no list. But who cares? Who cares if there's no list? Why aren't you releasing the file? Why aren't you releasing all of the files? Why aren't you telling us if there were foreign governments that were involved? Why aren't you telling us if United States intelligence was involved? Why not clear it up? If you've got nothing to hide, why not clear this up? And they're just not going to do it. It's very bizarre, and everybody feels it. That those MAGA that are in here, that lump you're feeling right now, where you can't really explain this to, and you're just hoping that it works out. This is the start for you guys starting to see Donald Trump for who he is.
In concert with people in our government. Wow. But not at like some, low-level guard getting bribed kind of way.
Yeah.
At a state-to-state level.
So that's probably a lot of party interests in keeping that under wraps.
You better believe it. Weapon systems at play, global deals at play.
Interesting. You have evidence to back that up?
I just am positing it as a theory.
Wow.
I think it's a pretty good theory. When me and Matt Gaetz are on the same side or coming to the same conclusions, and then you have like the consummate moderates like Jake Tapper coming to the same conclusion, and you have conservative content creators both conspiratorial and pretty middle of the road coming to the same conclusion. I think that you can make this assumption. Now, it is a reminder to all of you that when Jeffrey Epstein ceased to exist, Donald Trump was in power, and the Attorney General was Bill Barr, and the video went missing under them, and they fired two people that said were responsible for this video, and they claimed that they took these cameras to Quantico and they were unable to get any of the data from Quantico. Well, thank God something happened during Joe Biden's administration where we suddenly got the technology to recover those 10 hours of video. And now suddenly we have the 10 hours of video. Isn't that weird? If this, just reverse it, just reverse engineer this. Let's just say that for years, Joe Biden was friends with Epstein, and then they had a falling out. And then Epstein got caught trafficking all these people. And then there were allegations, there was sworn testimony that Epstein helped Joe Biden get underage girls. And one of those underage girls actually testified to it. And and there were pictures of you with Joe Biden and Epstein at all these parties. And there were stories of Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump running fashion shows for young teenage girls together. And you would see that Jeffrey Epstein took some of those girls with him and stayed at Joe Biden's Atlantic City casino. And they just called in a favor to Joe Biden, and he let him stay at the casino. And then when Joe Biden gets into office, Epstein, who's in jail, mysteriously disappears or dies. And then we say, we want to see. And Joe Biden goes, no. I guess there's no tapes there. There's no tapes. And then he takes Merrick Garland. And Merrick Garland goes out there and goes, I can't believe these tapes are missing. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. And he fires two people. And then he never gives anybody any answers as far as what happened to those tapes. And then Donald Trump comes into office and he wins, and he does his agenda. And then here comes Joe Biden again, and Joe Biden wins a second time. Joe Biden comes back into office, and he says, hey, there was no list. Here's the video. I know the video's missing a minute. I know that there's missing stuff on this video, but don't worry about it. It's just normal. And there was no list. Why are we even talking about this thing? I can't believe we're talking. You guys would be in the fucking streets. You would be knocking on my door. You would be losing your fucking minds if this was reversed, if it was Joe Biden instead of Donald Trump. But because it's Trump, you're just like, no, it's probably Hillary Clinton. I'm sure that it's Hillary Clinton and the deep state. All of this stuff keeps happening when Trump is president and when he's in control of the Department of Justice. But I know that it was Hillary Clinton. You would absolutely fucking lose it if it was reversed. You would be demanding his resignation in the streets. And you fucking know you would. Can you have some standards? Please, just some standards that we can apply evenly across the board. If they had the dirt on Trump, they would have used it in the last administration. No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't, because guess what? The last administration was also beholden to who? Israel. And just because Joe Biden was president doesn't mean the CIA's telling him shit. Doesn't mean Israel's telling him shit. I hate to break it to you, but our CIA isn't exactly very honest with the president very often. They've been caught lying to the president many, many times. They view themselves as extra governmental. They could give a fuck about politics. They want this buried. They don't, because that leverage is what gives them power. If they lose the leverage, if this information gets out, the CIA loses power, and they don't want to do that. So no, it wouldn't have come out during the Biden administration, Drew. I appreciate it's a good attempt. I appreciate the attempt, but no, they want it silent. They don't. This isn't politics. It's not that type of game. This is power. I think that they absolutely have power over both Democrats and Republicans. And fuck, maybe they have some leverage over Joe Biden too. They absolutely could have had leverage over Joe Biden. I wouldn't rule that out. But it's amazing how quickly you guys are willing to demonize Joe Biden. But like, you won't even consider that all this stuff keeps happening under Trump, but he's not like in on it, or that he's not helping cover for it. Give me a fucking break. Nobody believes that. All right, here's Jake Tapper.
What's going on here? I mean, what's really going on? Well, experts such as our friend Julie Brown from the Miami Herald, who has been covering Epstein for years, say that the notion of Epstein having an easy-to-access client list is likely a red herring. And that's what the Trump administration is relying on, that there likely isn't a list per se. But they are also now relying on the fact that because it's MAGA influencers who often put forward so many falsehoods, legacy news media won't push the point, that while there might not be a list, there are certainly files that can be released. There's a trove of information that the Trump administration is right now refusing to share. Information that could well point to the powerful folks who availed themselves of the sex trafficking victims of Jeffrey Epstein. If you go, for example, to the FBI vault online, you can see that there are 22 files containing thousands of pages. Most of them are heavily redacted. Now, sure, of course, redact the names and identifying characteristics of the victims. But why not make the victim and witness testimonies public? As Julie Brown.
That's pretty fair, right? I think that's pretty fair. If you know, we're not big fans of Jake Tapper over here. I mean, all of these people I'm showing you today are literally people who disagree with me politically. I've not shown a single video of anybody who agrees with me politically today. But like, we can't just have the unredacted documents. You can't just blur out the sensitive information for the victims to protect victims and then show us what's in there. Why did we get nothing? We have a truckload of documents. It's going to take months to go over it. Okay, we went over this for months. All right, what'd you find? Nothing. Can we see it? Nah, just trust us. It's nothing. There was nothing there. There's nothing to see here. Please? No. Okay.
Brown points out there's still so much we don't know from the investigations by U.S. attorneys in Miami and in New York, witness interviews in the U.S. Virgin Islands and New Mexico. Brown writes that there's still more evidence that hasn't been published, including, quote, Epstein kept video cameras in most of his residences, and Epstein's autopsy, nor the report of the investigation into his death, has ever been made public.
So he has cameras in every room in his house. He has a house in West Palm Beach. He has a house in New York, in Manhattan, I believe. And he has a house in Albuquerque. And then, of course, you have Epstein Island. And in all of these houses, he has cameras. And when we know a lot of very famous people visited those houses, visited the plane, why don't we have that? We know for certain that there's camera footage of people in those rooms, and they're not gonna tell us what's on that footage. Not fine if you don't want to show. Like, we don't all have to watch the clips. We don't have to see creepy old men having sex with underage girls. None of us want to see that. We just want to know who's in them. But we can't have any of that. Why is Maxwell still in custody? Because she committed a crime of trafficking. Sorry, I don't mean to get mad. It's probably a legit question. She trafficked underage girls to Jeffrey Epstein. That's what she's guilty of. She could be guilty of a lot more crimes. But Jeffrey Epstein absolutely abused women. He was going to be guilty, or he was guilty of that. And she's guilty of trafficking women to Jeffrey Epstein. There's just probably also other people that she trafficked to. Right? So she should still be in jail. She's in jail for what she did, but she could be in jail for more. I'm just saying, why are we as Trump supporters so comfortable right now with them telling us, we'll give you the information, and now that there's the information, they're like, no. We deserve to know, and I believe Trump was there. I believe so, too. I've actually seen a lot of Trump supporters on Twitter just coming out and being like, I don't care that he abused children. I believe he abused children. I believe he was there with Epstein, but now he found Jesus, so I don't care.
So while there may not be an official client list to be released, as the administration is now saying, there's a lot of extra information that is not being made public, despite Trump's Justice Department basically now saying case closed. This isn't going to go away. The public. So what's...
Yeah, this is one of those ones that I think that's why Trump is so frustrated. Is because usually a Trump scandal goes away quickly because there's something the next day. And they're trying. Like, they announced this investigation into John Brennan and James Comey. And even Fox News is like, they announced it, but it was so shaky they couldn't even really announce what they were investigating, and nobody cared. They're just like, nah, dude. Even the Republicans are like, you're not gonna trick us this time. You can't just like wave your wand and have us look over here. We're gonna keep looking at this. Here was Kash Patel in 2023, and I think that it's important to show these over and over and over again until everybody gets it in their head that these are liars. And just ask yourself, if you're willing to lie, if they're willing to lie about this, they're clearly willing to lie about everything. So now you've got to go back and revisit everything Kash Patel told you that you believed because he said it and not because of evidence. And if you've watched Kash Patel's podcast or Dan Vagina's podcast, you know that a lot of their stories relied on them saying, I have access to sources, and those sources who are credible tell me this, or I have seen this. He said that he had seen these documents. So now you've got to ask yourself, you got to go back and you got to say, when Kash speaks, or going forward, when Kash speaks, is he giving me information or is he telling me to trust him? And if you're still trusting Kash Patel, I don't know what to tell you, because he's clearly a person who lies. Here's him lying in 2023, or he's lying now, but it's a totally different story.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book.
FBI.
But who? That is that. I mean, there's.
Oh, that's under direct control of the director of the FBI. Just like the manifesto.
By the way, the DA, the DA isn't who wants to keep it redacted. The Black Book, the reason that the Black Book was redacted, Ghislaine's Black Book, is because her attorneys argued that there was no need for that book. Because in order to get access to all of her personal contacts, they would have had to have some sort of accusation that she was trafficking women to other people. And in that court case, because that court case was about Jeffrey Epstein, it was inadmissible. So that's why when you say like the DA, I know that like the conspiracy goes deep, and I think there's people all over the government that covered this up, but it's not the DA. In this case, if you were going to cast an aspersion that somebody was covering up the Black Book, in this case, it would be the judge who ruled that her contacts were inadmissible. But it was her attorneys arguing that they were inadmissible and the judge agreeing with her. You wouldn't blame the DA for that. The DA probably would have wanted that. That probably would have helped their case. So we shouldn't blame the DA on that.
From the Nashville school shooting of the Catholic school, we still haven't seen that, right? It's not the Nashville police or PD saying we don't want this out. The FBI airmailed into that operation and said this is not getting out. Because they do that because this is another government gangster operation. All these local law.
That's the name of his book. That's him branding his book right there. Again, the government gangsters. Ironically, this guy wrote a book about government gangsters and how they hide all this shit from you, and how somebody like Kash Patel would go in and he would be honest with you. That's how he made a lot of money off that book. He built his entire persona off of transparency, transparency, transparency. This isn't just like a run-of-the-mill. This isn't James Comey. This isn't a run-of-the-mill FBI director. This is somebody who, despite having almost no qualifications, was given this role. And the reason that you guys, MAGA, backed him, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but the reason you guys were excited about Kash Patel and Dan Bongino is because they said they were not deep staters. They were going to come in and they were going to show you the truth about everything. So you overlooked their lack of qualifications because you thought it was worth it. And I don't think that that's crazy. Honestly, I don't think if you supported them for that, I don't think that's necessarily crazy. But now they're not being who they said they were going to be. So now we've got to start asking questions of like, were they lying before? Are they lying now? Are they being told to be quiet? Are they being told what to say? Are they co-opted into the deep state now? And I think that that's where a lot of MAGA, rightfully so, you guys are pissed. You should be pissed. You put your reputation, you put yourselves on the line here while you sat back and defended these people who were underqualified for their position. And you had to say, like, I don't care. They're going to do what's best for the country. And now they're not. And I get it. I understand why you're pissed. I'm probably not near as pissed as you guys are. But I get why you're mad. I'd be pissed as hell too. They sold you a bill of goods that they're not delivering on.
Enforcement communities get funding from the DOJ and FBI for local programs. And if you don't cooperate, you're not getting your $1 million for this, and you're not getting and that's a lot of money to these local districts.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein?
All right. It's Glenn Beck. Again, I'm just using your sources, so you can't get mad at me. Here's Liz Wheeler. She's one of those people that was at the White House holding that binder, and she's pissed as hell. She's on with Cuomo here, who is just desperately trying to tell everybody that our country's going to be socialist, and he's clearly a right-winger now, pretending to be like a moderate Democrat. Amy said, morons in the chat still defending. Are there people in the chat still defending? That's crazy. Here's Liz Wheeler.
I was at the White House that day when Pam Bondi gave out those white binders. I was one of the ones who received that binder. So when you say before I'm invested in this, yeah, I am invested in this because what she did made me look like I was adding to some kind of clickbait weirdo influencer thing online, which I don't do. People that watch me know I'm very prudent. I don't engage in hot takes. And I gave her the benefit of the doubt. You give the benefit of the doubt to people on your own side. I thought, okay, I don't know why she gave us those binders if she didn't have good stuff in those binders, but she said there was another story. A whistleblower told her there were truckloads of documents. Hopefully she'll produce. And I gave her time. I was patient. I gave her the benefit of the doubt. But here's the thing, Chris. That day in the White House, Pam Bondi bragged about making that cover sheet on that binder that you're showing on the screen. That cover sheet that reads the most transparent administration in history. Epstein files phase 1. She told us she made that. She printed it. She put it in that binder. How can you square that behavior with what she posted on the Department of Justice website on Sunday saying, actually, there's nothing here?
Yeah,
I was at the White House that day when Pam...
Who said it? David, making child rape a partisan issue is gross. This is bipartisan. What the fuck are you watching? I'm on the left. Everybody I'm showing you is on the right. This is the direct opposite of partisanship. What you're talking about is me criticizing specific Republicans like Kash Patel and Pam Bondi and Donald Trump. That's not partisan. That's specific criticism levied at specific people, and people on your side of the aisle are the ones in the videos making those criticisms. I'm being bipartisan today. This is a kumbaya fucking live today. Everybody can get in on this today. Look at that. We finally have something we can all agree on. And some of you are like, no, we can't. We can't do this. It's too comfortable around here. I don't like it when I'm agreeing with the libs. Chill. It'll be all right. It's fine. You can agree with us sometimes. This is one of those days where we all agree that our government is bending us over and fucking us in the bum. I don't know if that fixes it on TikTok. We'll see if I get taken down. This is one of those times where all of us can see how obviously corrupt our system is. So chill for a minute, Republicans. Shh. We're on your side today. We want the government to tell the truth today. Stay with us. Don't freak out. It's going to be okay. I've got some more Republicans to show you. As a reminder, we are crowdfunded. Republicans, is a good day to donate. We have a gift goal. It's up in the top left corner, and we rely on your generosity to accomplish that gift goal every day. I also want to remind you that we have paid subscriptions available on TikTok, on YouTube, and on Twitch. And this Friday, I have a debate with Andrew Wilson, known Christian nationalist. It's going to be insufferable, and that'll be on the Raging Tomatoes YouTube channel. And if you don't want to sit in the chat with the white nationalists, you can make sure you're a subscriber, and you can watch it with us with the protections and the glory of our echo chamber. It'll be glorious. So make sure that you pick up one of our subscriptions either on TikTok, Twitch, or YouTube. We will live stream it on YouTube, and if you're a subscriber, you'll have access to it. If not, you'll just need to watch it. If you're a subscriber, we'll have a special stage in the Discord where you can watch that together and interact with everybody. Quick update: God has lost the lead on TikTok. Paige now takes the lead for #1 gifter on TikTok, followed by Illusion of Choice, then God coming in third place, followed up by Shrugs and Jimmy the Gent. There are the top 5 over on TikTok. Thank you for our support, and it's working. Look, 3 days in a row we haven't been banned on TikTok. The world is a better place. Get back to our outline here. Here is Liz Conklin, who's a psycho. Now, here's the part where I guess if you're like this far right, Liz Conklin isn't ready to say, I'm disappointed in Donald Trump. Liz Conklin is instead yelling 5D chess with, I don't know who this person is on the left. I blink twice if you need some help. But it is devastating to see somebody this young being on camera with Liz Conklin, who is an absolute lunatic. But here's Liz now saying that this is actually just 5D chess.
Everyone's so mad, as they should be, that he said that. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, this is brilliant. Like, where has this anger been for the past decade? I have been so pissed, so frustrated.
I love that the Christian here, nothing gets her more excited than the fact that a lot of people are angry. She's like, yay, anger.
Screaming at the top of my lungs, touring the country, giving speeches exposing Jeffrey Epstein. I have been so pissed and angry and riled up about this for years. And now I'm starting to
touring the country and exposing that Jeffrey Epstein was a bad guy is like touring the country and saying wiping shit on your face doesn't seem very cool. Like, yeah, everybody knows. Like, we know. Everybody knows that guy's a piece of shit. I mean, I don't even understand the person that's like, I'm going to an event today. What are you going to hear about? This apparently, you know that Jeffrey Epstein guy, the financier? Yeah, apparently this lady's saying that he's not a good guy. I don't know. I'm going in with an open mind, but she seems to think that he's not a very good person. For real? Yeah, I'll check that out too. Imagine being the person going to that, like, hold on, wait a minute. Jeffrey Epstein? The Jeffrey Epstein? He's a bad guy? In 2024, if you're still making money off of saying Jeffrey Epstein's a bad guy, I got to know. I just want a list of your audience, because I'm going to tell them about electricity. I'm going to tell them about cell phones. I'm going to tell them about online adult websites. I mean, these people are going to be thrilled. Electric cars, they're going to be blown away at the stuff that I teach them.
See everyone else bring up that kind of energy. And now I'm thinking, that was brilliant. That was brilliant. He is getting his base so fired up to demand justice. We're probably now going to see the mainstream media go crazy and say, oh, President Trump acts like Jeffrey Epstein isn't a big deal. He doesn't care, Yeah,
because he said it's not a big deal. But yeah, this 5D chess, what he does, this is why he's so fucking brilliant. He goes out there and he's like, I don't care about this. And then the media lies and they just say he doesn't care. Yeah, that's the 5D chess. The media keeps reporting the words that he's saying. 5D chess.
How horrible is this? Well, what a brilliant way, Hannah, to get the mainstream media to cover Jeffrey Epstein.
Brilliant. It's all a ruse. He got us. Fuck! He got me. Here I am talking about Epstein. I didn't know I was even playing chess. I didn't know. I wanted to play video games and this bitch made me play chess. And not only is it chess, it's 5D chess. I didn't want to play 5D chess. I wanted to play video games. God, he's good at this.
I mean, I kind of feel like we're seeing a little like classic President Trump Kabuki theater 5D chess here.
What the fuck is Kabuki theater? Isn't she mean
everyone's so?
Does she mean Bukkake theater? What the fuck is Kabuki theater? Do you guys know what that is? Theater? Kabuki theater meaning? It's a classical Japanese dance drama known for its stylized performances, elaborate costumes, and dramatic makeup. It combines music, dancing, acting, and dialogue, often featuring historical events. Bro, what the fuck? Get out. Why is this Kabuki theater? Hold on a second. What is she talking about? All right, this is this is what he's doing. I bet none of you today knew that Donald Trump was doing Kabuki theater. I was unaware that this is what he was doing. Did you guys know? I didn't know. I'm sorry. I actually feel a little bit bad. This seems like it is culturally significant in Japan. And just for any of our Japanese friends out there, I sincerely want to apologize for comparing Kabuki theater to Bukkake. I don't feel good about that. And from the bottom of my heart, honest to God, I'm very sorry about that. The intrusive thought won, and I just said it. And now that I see it, it's clear that there are rich traditions of Kabuki theater, and I mean no disrespect. But also, I guess because he paints his face, is that what this is about? Is that what they're like? Because his face is a unnatural color. Is that why this is Kabuki theater? I don't know. All right, thank you for some of my Japanese friends who are not offended. But if you were, sincerely, I'm very sorry about that. I played that one about the Epstein autopsy. I'm gonna go back. I didn't finish it, so let me go back to China because some of you came in here late, and I did want to show this New York Times article that we cited earlier about how Trump's big beautiful bill is going to make China great again. First of all, A+ on the title there. Well done, Thomas Friedman, whoever the fuck you are. That guy. Nice mustache there, Thomas. In this article, there are some. I thought it was a little snarky, so I've highlighted some parts that I liked. I don't know if I agree with the entire tone of this article, so please don't accuse me of being a Thomas Friedman simp. But parts of this, I think, ring really true. He said, you cannot make this up. Even Saudi Arabia is doubling down on solar power, as they recently announced literally doubling their investment in solar power while we're cutting investment for solar energy. Saudi Arabia, like the oil country, you're like, we better start moving towards solar. To meet the needs of AI data centers it wants to recruit from the West. Ironically, the people that they are trying to recruit are like the Elon Musk. They're trying to recruit, Saudi Arabia is trying to recruit all of our tech companies. And they're doing so by building out this massive energy infrastructure. And they're also bribing Donald Trump. And they're also bribing American companies. And they're also lavishing Donald Trump with gifts. And then Donald Trump comes to America and he's like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do the opposite of what the Saudis are doing because we don't want to compete with the Saudis. I think you could make a conspiracy there that maybe Donald Trump's willing to destroy our energy production because the Saudis are giving him a bunch of money and a bunch of real estate deals. You could make that assumption if you wanted. I don't think it's crazy. It quickly phases out. Let's see. Trump's big, beautiful bill, wind power and electric cars and trucks, as well as autonomous vehicles. Thankfully, Trump and his friends did keep until 2036 a major Biden-era tax credit for companies that build other emissions-free technologies like nuclear reactors, hydroelectric dams, and geothermal plants and battery storage. The problem is that it can take up to 10 years to build a nuclear plant in America, and as the Times reported, the bill added complex restrictions to the battery credits that bar recipients from having ties to prohibited foreign entities like China. We need batteries. Okay, buy American ones. We don't have American ones. We only have Chinese ones. Well, fuck you. Okay. See the problem here? We can't. We're going to have to create new manufacturing just to get the batteries that China has been working on manufacturing for the last 10 years, and they make the best ones. So we're just going to put ourselves even further behind. As a result, some worry that the restrictions are so complicated that the credits could end up being unusable for many projects. In some, the dog breakfast of a bill rushed through without a single congressional hearing with independent energy experts or even one scientist is sure to put at risk billions of dollars in investments in renewable energy, mostly in Republican states, and potentially kill the jobs of tens of thousands of U.S. workers. By the way, the bill also bans for 10 years a first-ever fee on excess methane emissions from oil and gas production, a key driver of global warming and health issues for the communities that they live in. And the person in America, ironically, who knows that best, that we need to invest in renewable energy is Elon Musk. He says it's really sad to me that Musk, who is without question one of America's greatest manufacturing innovators, having started globally leading companies making electric vehicles, renewable rockets, battery storage, and telecommunication satellites, has discredited himself with so many voters because of his dalliance with Trump and because of his Department of Government Efficiency's capricious cuts to government workforce. Because of that, many will not understand the vital truth that Musk has been shouting to his fellow Americans. Trump's bill is utterly insane and destructive. It gives handouts to industries of the past while severely damaging industries of the future. And what was the response to Elon? Oh, Elon's just mad at Donald Trump. Elon's just being petty. No, Elon's being right. You can say a lot of things about Elon, and I have said a lot of things about Elon, but Elon Musk has been like, his companies have been on the cutting edge of renewable energy. And that renewable energy has created companies that at least for a time were industry leaders across the world like Tesla. And now we are saying, get fucked, we're going to go backwards. This is not complicated, and this is exactly what China knows. There has never been a more intimate connection than there is now between a nation's ability to generate huge amounts of electricity at affordable prices and in the cleanest way possible, and its ability to develop AI engines that consume huge amounts of electricity as they learn and generate answers that could give us the tools we need to cure diseases, discover new materials, and even produce the holy grail of cheap, clean, climate-saving fusion energy. We just said climate-saving, and a bunch of Republicans immediately got mad. Watch. Here it's coming. Let's just keep saying it. Climate-saving fusion energy, clean energy, climate change, clean energy, clean air, climate change, climate change, climate change. All of them just got anxiety. Their heart rates all just went up. I hate it when you talk about the fucking climate. Climate change is fake. To put it differently, there's never been a more intimate connection between the amount of cheap, clean electricity a nation can generate for AI models and its future economic and military might. I was struck by a quote from an energy expert in the Wall Street Journal the other day. The big picture outlook for energy is we are going to be less competitive because of this law. 10 years from now, we could look back on this moment as the time in which the U.S. pulled back and essentially lost the transition to clean energy. Few Americans understand how far ahead of us China actually is in this realm and moving further ahead and faster every day. Consider this snapshot. In the year 2000, some of you may not have been born, but I remember the year 2000. It was my freshman year of high school. I just got my first kiss, my first girlfriend. Her name was Brianna. And my friend's mom walked in on my first kiss. And my first kiss ended with my girlfriend running away out of the house because she was embarrassed, and she ran away, and we broke up. We never talked to each other again. In fact, to this day, we still have not talked. Her sister is a professional MMA fighter. I do talk to her every once in a while. Still don't ever talk to her because that's what the year 2000 brought to me. In 2000, China produced over 1,300 terawatt hours of electricity, while the United States produced nearly 3,800 terawatt hours of electricity, so 3.8 times more. Fast forward to today. China produces over 10,000 terawatt hours, while the U.S. since 2000 has added only 500. That's startling. That is absolutely startling. That China, U.S. produced 3.5 times or 3.8 times more energy, and now it's not even close. What are we? We're at 4,500. So now they're producing more than double. That is a massive turnaround. That is not good. No, I did not lose my virginity until I was in my 20s, unless you count the carpet, in which case I was 18. But we don't count the carpet. Much of China's electricity growth originally came from expanded coal-fired generation, but in recent years, and this is what everybody in the chat's been saying, China actually uses more coal. China uses coal. China uses coal, so we should do coal. Much of their electricity growth initially came from expanded coal-fired generation, but in recent years, it has been driven by expanding hydro, solar, wind, and battery sources, which are easier, cheaper, and quicker to build, and also help the climate. As a recent article from Shanghai in the Financial Times put it, China is on its way to becoming the world's first electrostate, with a growing share of its energy coming from electricity and an economy increasingly driven by clean technologies. It offers China a strategic buffer from trade decoupling and rising geopolitical tensions with the United States. Let's just say you want to generate additional electricity for more data centers just through natural gas today. That's what Trump is telling us we're going to do. Even if you have an abundance of gas, as America does, and we should take care of that. It's getting stinky. You need more giant turbines to convert gas to electricity. If you ask the major manufacturers of those turbines, GE Vernova, Siemens Energy, and Mitsubishi Power, they will likely tell you that they will be happy to deliver you one, but you will be lucky to have it installed by 2030. That's how long their backlogs are, and there is no telling what that turbine will cost with all of Trump's new steel and aluminum tariffs. By contrast, you can build and put online a new solar farm with the battery storage in Texas in just 18 months. During the past quarter, if we look to Texas, I said climate again. Sorry, they're going to punch their spouse. During the past quarter, Texas took the lead in clean power installations, adding an impressive 2,596 megawatts of new utility-scale solar, wind, and storage capacity. This milestone marks the first time Texas has surpassed California to become the top solar state in the nation. And what did that do for Texas? A Texas energy expert, Doug Lewin, posted last week that the Texas grid, known as ERCOT, which in the last decade has had rolling blackouts and brownouts, they reported that the state had added 10,000 megawatts of power in just 1 year, most of it from super cheap solar power with battery storage. So energy can be distributed at night when the sun is not shining. I don't know if you guys know this, the sun goes to bed too. As a result, Texas has seen a drop in brownouts on its grid because of more renewables combined with bigger storage batteries. Texas can still deploy solar plus batteries in the future, but now the electricity will cost consumers a lot more thanks to the big, beautiful bill. Secretary Chris Wright must know that solar energy plus storage batteries made up 81% of the new electricity capacity added in the United States in 2024. And so naturally, what are we going to do? Let's add some tariffs on the equipment. Let's get rid of the subsidies for renewable energy. And let's give all these oil companies a big, fat tax break. The research firm Energy Innovation projects that Trump's effort to diminish America's renewable energy will cause wholesale electric power prices to increase roughly 50% by 2035. Remember, they were going to drill, and they were going to bring down the price of energy. And now they're saying it's going to go up by 50% by 2035. And that cumulative annual consumer energy costs will increase more than $16 billion by 2030. It also projects that 830,000 renewable energy jobs will be lost or not created by 2030. This bill keeps getting fucking worse. It is... you'd be hard pressed to convince me that they're not fucking this up on purpose at this point. It's hard to convince you. It is so stupid and so destructive that it is almost impossible to convince somebody that they're not doing this purposely. Mark said, for kabuki theater is a well-known phrase, Jay. Grew up in Utah. My culture is limited. I'm very sorry. Adam said, saying climate change and clean energy 3 times will summon Al Gore. No, let's keep Al Gore out of here. Lockbox. If you're old enough, that's a great fucking Al Gore reference right there. If you're old enough to know that reference, some of you might not be old enough to remember that reference. All right, I got that. Miss anything? All right, here's the other part I want to go. This is a clip from The Daily Show. This is a interview with. Excuse me. This is a 60 Minutes correspondent, Steve Croft, who quit 60 Minutes and is on with Jon Stewart talking about the $16 million that Paramount, CBS's parent company, agreed to give to Donald Trump for God knows why. I want you to listen to this because this is 100% a shakedown. What CBS did was not only not dishonest, it was common practice, and they were transparent about it the entire time. And yet somehow Donald Trump recognized that because they had a merger coming up that he was going to have to approve, that he went ahead and just shook them down for $16 million. Because why not personally profit from the presidency? Why not? Why not make a cool 16 mil just because you can? Why not turn everything into a pay-to-play scheme?
60 Minutes did an interview with...
Sorry, before I play that, how much time do we have left? We have about 50 minutes. We're pretty far off on the gift goal, but today's been a nightmare. Anything you can do to help with the gift goal, I will read them as best I can in real time, and we'll see if we can knock that off. But we got plenty of people here. We could knock it out with a dollar train. Update on TikTok. Illusion of Choice has taken the lead in the gift goal. RTP Shaft. Come on. RTP Shaft is in second. Paige is in third, and God is slipping. God's down to fourth. Who would have thought today that if you had a battle between God and RTP Shaft that God would be losing pretty handily? So shout out to RTP Shaft.
RTP Shaft is an OG. They've been here a long time.
Well, they're dusting God today, so I wasn't ready for that.
Well, I mean, there's that one. There's RTP's falsetto. I mean, there's a bunch of them out there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if you guys could help us out with that gift goal, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, all go towards keeping this going each day. And if you guys want to come up and talk to RTP, how you do that is if you look at the Venmo, the Jen with 2 N's, the Dub with 2 B's, and number 1. That's my Discord. If you want to DM me on Discord, I can bring you on and have a conversation with him right now. So there's that.
Thank you very much. All right, here we are with The Daily Show. Jen, we'll probably have to cut this out after. They'll probably copyright strike this. We'll see. It's more productive that way. You got it, Drew. I know about your humiliation kink. I know what you're here for. You slimy... Half a soundbite now trending worldwide. Half soundbite of 2. Airwolf, that's solid. That's so solid. Janelle said, rough connections today, but you guys are still amazing. Thanks for everything. Yeah, sorry about the connection. It's I blame climate. Those seemed like 2 different answers to me. I don't know if you guys caught that, but those seemed like 2 different answers to me. Yeah, what's interesting about this is what they said going forward, we will post the transcripts after the show. Basically, they said, we're going to move the time we post the transcript up by like a day. That's all they did. There's no wrongdoing here. They just need Trump's signature. This is what's crazy. And again, like this isn't Trump negotiating money. That's $16 million. That doesn't go to the country. That's not a fine that they're paying. This is them paying Donald Trump $16 million so that he will sign off on a merger. Well, we are in the dumbest timeline in the history of our country. Just openly corrupt. We used to hide it at least. You know what I mean? Like we used to have to dig. You find like that Bill Clinton land deal. And you're like, wait a minute. This is a little off. Trump's just like, give me $16 million and I'll sign on your merger. Billionaires, give me $1 billion and I'll cut your taxes. We're just like, okay. Hey, if you want my attention, buy my crypto coin. Okay. It is fucking crazy. We've never seen anything like this. I mean, the amount of just corruption that is happening so openly, and you guys are just like, oh, okay, I don't care. Yeah, anything but an auto pen. And he uses an auto pen too. He didn't sign all those. He didn't sign all those pardons for the J6ers. That shit was an auto pen. He didn't sign those pardons. It's crazy. This is what we're doing now. And also that you guys could get this big beautiful bill that cuts taxes for billionaires and fucks you over. Quick update: God is slipping. God has taken it. God's not even here anymore. God's not even in the top. Where did God go? We've lost God. God is no longer part of the TikTok chat. I'm sorry, God. I don't know what happened to him. God is gone. Did God change his name? I don't see Elohim. I don't see him. Illusion and Choice still on top there. Paige in second with Shrugs, Amanda, and Cassie bringing up the rear. Thank you guys so much.
Is God no longer one of us?
No.
Sorry.
Donnie America, all you do is get out of here and split lights. Bro, your entire personality is a psychotic old senile man. Like a corrupt senile man. You made your username after Donald Trump. That's weird. What are you doing on here? Lena, thank you for the donation there as well. All right. Might run out of shit today. Good thing we had all these breaks. All right, I wanted to show this. I've been trying to get to this for a while. This is from More Perfect Union. If you don't subscribe to them on YouTube, I'm a big proponent of More Perfect Union. I'm gonna turn off closed captions because you guys can have them on. This is one of the big concerns I have with the big beautiful bill, specifically when it comes and specifically also our determination that we're going to deport a bunch of farm workers, is that what happens in these farms is that when we get rid of their workers and their farms go under, some big corporation will come and they will buy up that farmland. And they will operate in the capitalist way where they will try and suck as much revenue out as they possibly can. They will pay people the least amount they possibly can. They will cut corners. They will inject hormones and steroids into our meat. They will then process the meat through meat processing plants where they will add their preservatives. And oftentimes those meat processing plants wind up getting some sort of virus, and then they have to shut that down because it's getting people sick. It's a really shitty system that we have here where not that long ago when you bought produce, 30 years ago, you bought produce, and that produce likely was local. And that produce likely was from a local farmer and a local butcher, and it was probably fresh. And now you're buying packaged meat. You have no idea if it's fresh. They've done undercover stings with grocery stores where they're injecting red dye into their meat, where they're taking meat that's been left out overnight and just putting it back out as if it's fine. We've got a real problem with our food quality, and that has a lot to do with massive corporations being the ones that are responsible for producing a lot of what we eat. This More Perfect Union video is going to talk about a company that has fucked things up so badly in Brazil and got people so sick in Brazil that naturally in America we're like, we got to get some of that. Let's go ahead and let's fuck over our farmers. Let's get rid of their workers. Let's destroy their margins. Let's allow them to be undersold by massive corporations. And then once those farmers go under, we'll just let these massive corporations who are lining the pockets of politicians come in and buy up all that farmland and buy up also their market share. And eventually we'll just have only shitty food. That's a good synopsis of this video. Here we go.
Is a force in our meat industry that you don't even know about.
This is the biggest story in food.
Josley and Wesley Batista.
Already under investigation.
Amy said, just like Trump admitted he uses AutoPen. Yeah, exactly.
Corruption. This is the biggest story for anyone who eats.
The Brazilian meat packer JBS has been steadily taking over the American meat industry for years.
The world's largest meat producer, Brazil's JBS.
This is a company that has been plagued with scandal.
Look at all of the...
Leslie said, thanks for getting me through the day. Thank you, Leslie.
Calls. Look at the child labor. Look at the payoffs and settlements.
Investigating whether Brazilian inspectors were bribed to clear tainted meat for export.
Price fixing allegations, wage fixing allegations, environmental desecration allegations, discrimination in their plants.
Despite all of that, the company just debuted on the New York Stock Exchange.
Yay! Let's celebrate. Let's all invest in this dog shit company. Amy Lynn said, look up JD Vance Acre Trader. It helps people buy up those farms. South Africans getting farms. Yeah, it's a way to buy up all of these farms. It's 100% what they're doing.
Turning a criminal
and thank you, Tanya.
Actor loose on American investors. This makes 0 sense.
The government seems to have taken a step back from its regulatory authority. They've chosen cheap meat. Cheap meat wins over pretty much anything else in America.
But what is the real cost of cheap corporate meat?
Cheap meat was my nickname in college.
And what could it mean for the food we depend on?
Problem is right now, we have set this up for a major collapse.
You're standing in front of our Angus Wagyu cross calves. We have a couple thousand head in this feedlot. Well, for an independent rancher, this is a good size operation, but in comparison to the industry, it's extremely small. The biggest feeders now are 100,000 head plus operations.
Mike Calicrate is an independent rancher. In over 30 years of ranching, he's seen just how much the industry has changed and gotten worse for small producers like him.
Out of this very facility, I used to sell to 20 meat packers at any given time, and that got down to 0. Why is it that U.S. ranchers are going out of business? It's for lack of market access.
And meat packer was Drew's nickname in college.
Mike now operates Ranch Foods Direct, a vertically integrated meat business focused on local, ethical, and sustainable meat production.
As far as the number of folks in the U.S. that do what we do at Ranch Foods Direct, which are basically pasture to plate, there's hardly any.
Pasture to plate. That means Ranch Foods Direct raises the cattle, slaughters them, then processes and packages for direct sale. But that is not typical for most producers.
The biggest challenge in the production of livestock, if you're going to be selling meat, is that slaughter piece.
Kristen says, Snark is on point today, W cheap meat, thank you.
Slaughter piece, the processing and packaging that happens before meat reaches customers, is where just a few big meat packers are able to set pricing and squeeze the ranchers selling them cattle. Because of consolidation in the industry, ranchers have basically no other option but
squeezing the ranchers was also Drew's part-time job in college.
To accept, a problem Mike has been speaking out on for 30 years.
Because we only have 3 packers in the business today basically setting the price, we've decoupled supply and demand. So you don't have a high level of competition out there that will pay you a premium for your cattle.
Back then, the Brazilian meat processing giant JBS wasn't even in the U.S. market. But now,
JBS is our biggest meat company in the world, and they're essentially a predator in the industry.
JBS is a particularly concerning company because there's been a history of over a decade of different bribes, over 1,800 politicians in Brazil.
Chloe Sorvino reports on the food industry and the titans who run it, like the billionaire brothers behind JBS.
Joesley and Wesley Batista took over their family's meat packer in their 30s, and they set their sights on going abroad and going abroad as big as possible. And so they looked at the US to acquire assets on the cheap, and they ended up using bribes and...
Yeah, I saw that, Josh, that Trump put out an executive order about banning foreigners from buying farmland, and that you support that. I probably support that too. However, I am concerned that this is a setup for acre traders. Somebody brought that up. I think Amy Lynn brought that up earlier. That the acre trader and apps like that allow like kind of a loophole for people who are not American citizens to buy up farmland. I haven't read it. I haven't read the details of his executive order. It'll be interesting to see if places like Acre Trader are required to no longer sell farmland or allow investment from foreign-born people.
Kickback-fueled corruption scheme to finance loans that help them get some of the most iconic American meatpacking assets. They've pled guilty to foreign corruption practices and had to pay fines, have even had some jail time in Brazil.
Chloe's book, Raw Deal, traces the Batista brothers' rise and broader consolidation in America's meat industry.
To take a step back, America's antitrust regulations with the DOJ are created around this idea that the top 4 players in an industry, if those top 4 players have around 20 to 25% control together, that's a highly consolidated industry. And in the beef industry, you have 80 to 85% with the top 4. In pork, you have more than 70% control by the top 4. And in chicken, you have over 60% control.
Now, these type of monopolies, the reason that we need to be nervous about these monopolies is when you control that much of the market share, you also get to control the legislation. You get to control the regulation. And when you control that much of a market share, you can operate on smaller profits. or profit margins, excuse me. And so the concern here is that now that the control is in the hands of a few, those who are trying to have a small business or a family-run business, they're going to be priced out, and they're going to be priced out because these massive manufacturers want them priced out. They're happy to operate on razor-thin margins until they can beat out all of these manufacturers, and then they just raise prices. Once that all happens, once there's no competition anymore and they've established that monopoly, then they raise the prices. This is what Peter Thiel has told all of his all the people that he conditioned to become Peter Thielites. As he said, like, if you're going to create a company, create a monopoly. Only create companies that can become a monopoly, because then you have all the control.
By the top four. So that pretty much impacts any American that is buying meat.
And JBS's IPO could just make all of that worse.
JBS trading means that it's going to have access to U.S. investors and pension funds and all of these funds that are pouring more money in, and they will be able to finance better loans. They will be able to have more capital to do whatever they want with.
That means
I think there's a part she's missing there. The other part of this, where now that they are publicly traded, not only do they get access to capital, but now they're offered protections. Now the government has this multi-layered chain of events that could hurt consumers. So now let's say that you have a bunch of people investing in their pension fund. And they're now investing in what is it? It's IR. What's the company? What is it again? What's their stock symbol? What did it say their stock symbol was? I don't remember. There it is. JBS. JBS is the stock symbol. So now let's say that you have a bunch of like teachers and firefighters and police unions, and they have put this into their retirement portfolio. Now you say that these companies become so big. And now if you're going to go after these companies, if you're going to direct legislation at them, if you're going to try and break them up, now you have a bunch of people who are invested who are going to lose money because the stock price drops. And then JBS goes to the government. They say, look, I understand that we've made some mistakes, but if you shut us down, look at these millions of Americans who are going to lose money in their retirement accounts. And because politicians are all like mostly pussies, they're just going to be like, oh yeah, we can't do that. So how about you guys just promise not to do it anymore? This is how they get all that leverage. The reason you want to be publicly traded is because it offers you not only access to capital, but it also offers you a significant amount of protection. And so you go out there and you raise that stock price, and you get every portfolio in the world you possibly can to invest in you. So that when it comes time for the government to say you are operating in a way that is contrary to the will of the American people, they say, well, yeah, I get it, but you don't want to shut us down because look at all these people who are going to lose money.
More money to fuel their acquisition spree.
Thank you, Purple Kitty, by the way.
Further consolidating the market, giving more power to the packing companies and less to the farmers and ranchers whose livestock will eventually end up there.
For American food producers, it means that JBS is not going away anytime soon.
I think it is important to look at the sheep industry as the canary in the coal mine, and I can tell you what will happen to the beef industry if we don't take action now.
Carson Jorgensen is a 6th-generation lamb rancher in Utah.
This was it. I guess there's not as many people now as there used to be with that connection and those roots, and it just makes for a different dynamic.
In 2001, Carson's family joined roughly 150 sheep ranching families that banded together to leverage their own power against the big meat packers.
Mountain States Rosin Co-op was a family-owned operation just prior to COVID. MSR was having some difficulties.
In 2020, as restaurants shut down and production lines stalled across the country, Mountain States Rosin filed for bankruptcy.
That being said, they had a buyer to come in and buy the plant. That was the plan. There was a Canadian company that was going to come in and buy it and process American lamb and keep it here in the United States. And that was the plan. Well, JBS owns the plant across the street. And JBS's contract with MSR was for the wastewater management.
Jen, will you remind me at the end, is a bad time before we end, Contunio wants me to explain jump soaking, which I'm happy to do, but at the end of the show.
and for the steam that it takes to run the plant. JBS wouldn't transfer over the wastewater contract and the steam contract to the new buyers because ultimately they wanted that plant, and they knew if they couldn't sell the plant, it would go defunct and they would end up with it. And that's exactly what happened.
Thanks,
After
Lindsay.
JBS converted the plant into a beef facility, sheep ranchers across the West were left with very few options for regional processing.
That was really critical piece of infrastructure.
Drew's nickname in high school was Beef Facility.
For us producers here in the western United States.
Many opted to go to Double J in Texas, a family-owned processing plant more than 1,000 miles away for producers in Utah.
Okay, first of all, fucking adorable. This is some bad information, but can we take a second to talk about how adorable these little sheep are? That's adorable. Bad Religion said Trump will just sell foreigners his gold card citizenship for $5 million so they can buy up farmland. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, that's a crazy loophole. Yeah, that's a good point, Bad Religion. That's a really good point. But look, adorable. Can we just stop for a second and talk about the adorableness here? And then we'll get back to the capitalism just bending us over and giving it to us repeatedly. Adorable. 10 more seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll miss you.
Wyoming and Idaho. But Double J is now also at risk of closing, once again leaving ranchers with alarmingly few options for selling or processing their meat and scrambling for solutions.
It's like watching a car crash in slow motion. It's coming. You know the train's about to hit that car, and everybody's yelling and everybody's screaming, but there's just a lot of people sitting there watching it happen, and there's not much anybody's doing about it.
JBS going public would be the final nail in the coffin.
AJ Richards is an entrepreneur promoting regional meat systems.
Now for us, it's more of the mentality, it's better to have and not need than to need and not have.
AJ has been.
Did you guys know how cute this was going to get? You had no idea. This is a great part of this video. I needed that reset. This is adorable. Let's pretend that all of these cute animals aren't about to be eaten in the next year. Let's just enjoy their cuteness for a second.
With his concerns about what JBS going public could mean for ranchers and for our food supply.
Mr. President, I love you, I appreciate you. It is our job as citizens to hold you accountable, and whoever you've got in your circle, they ain't speaking truth because you're about to put us in a whole world of hurt.
As the big meat processing plants have grown larger and gained greater control over pricing, it's become increasingly difficult for any alternative supply chain to compete.
We can't lose one more farm and ranch, and in fact, stopping the loss isn't what we have to do. We have to make a path so that more people can get into farming.
Most of the people I grew up with, they've gone bankrupt. The family farms they're not family farms anymore, which is sad.
JBS has been trying to go public for years now, but the company's alarming track record has prompted bipartisan efforts to block them from accessing U.S. capital markets, including a 2024 letter to the SEC signed by Cory Booker, Marco Rubio, Josh Hawley, and more.
Monitoring, watching this whole JBS IPO for the last couple of years, I was happy to keep seeing it get shut down.
But this April, the SEC finally greenlit their listing on the New York Stock Exchange.
What do you think changed? We had bipartisan support. I wonder if it would have anything to do with a president who takes open bribes. Wouldn't have anything to do with that, right? Republicans and Democrats were both against this. We were able to, on a bipartisan level, stop this from happening over and over again. By the way, if you don't know anything about Mount Pleasant, Utah, I don't know if there's possibly a more conservative place on earth. It is deeply, deeply Mormon. It is full of ranchers, and farmers. Many of them have never left that area except for the 2 years when they went on Mormon missions. I had a Mormon missionary companion that was from near Mount Pleasant in a town called Ephraim. And when I first met him, I was like, "Where are you from?" And he's like, "I'm from Utah." And I was like, "No, I'm from Utah too. Like, what part?" And he just kept saying, "Hey, from Utah." And I thought he was saying Ephraim, Utah, or I'm from Utah, but he was saying Ephraim, Utah. Like, that's what this is. This is deep, deep Trump country. And they went to Marco Rubio and Josh Hawley, and they got protection. If you drive through Mount Pleasant right now, I guarantee you there are Trump flags flying currently. And that guy just sells you out. He does not give a fuck about the things that matter to you. If you live in a rural community where you have farming, he doesn't give a fuck. He's going to sell you out. It's the first thing he did. He just said, I love bribes. Go ahead. Go public.
JBS got the green light only a few weeks after they did give this big donation to the Trump administration.
Nick, I had some cousins that were Lancers out there at Layton. We'll have to talk about that sometime. I had a lot of cousins up there.
And so, big surprise. A few months later, now the people that donated $5 million are going public and nobody's standing in their way.
Is a donation like that a quid pro quo? I'm not sure I can be the judge of that. But what I can say is
Thanks, Midnight.
This is clearly a company and two billionaire top shareholders who have pled guilty and have a clear history of bribery, kickbacks, and corruption schemes.
Regardless of how they got there, JBS is now a publicly traded company, and that could spell danger for our food supply.
Meat packers say that they have these massive plants so that they can have cheap meat made as most efficiently as possible. But at the end of the day, they're also creating this kind of underlying vulnerability because it's super fragile. I mean, if one plant goes out, one feedlot goes out, or a few of them go out because of a hurricane or extreme weather or, a pandemic, this is a system that has no life preservers.
So anyway, our carcasses come down and they go into the cut room here.
The industry's consolidation and predatory behavior from companies like JBS.
Gigi, I have so many cousins, I don't know all of them. I don't know how many cousins I have. It's a lot.
Have made it increasingly difficult to build alternative food supply chains.
This is the place that the real investment occurs as far as meat processing. This is a vacuum packaging machine with a labeler, $135,000. The room is just full of this kind of equipment. And this is why not everyone can do what we do here in processing. It's really expensive to get into.
Even Mike's Ranch Foods Direct operation is only possible due to the financial success of another of Mike's business ventures.
We've got to absolutely control the predators in the market. And only government is big enough to do that. Of antitrust and breaking up concentrated power and wealth, which has always been considered the greatest threat to any free society. That's simply not happening.
JBS has skirted American watchdogs and the scrutiny of policymakers for years now.
But it's not just that nobody will stand up to them.
They're propping JBS up with millions of dollars in contracts every year. So that's meat that's going to public schools, soldiers around the world, nursing homes that are publicly funded, hospitals, and they've...
Buy it from the restaurant? Oh shit, disconnected again. Right. All right, we're back. There, you may have a little glitch there.
And say somebody's trying to break this. And at the end of the day, it's just about money. It's about the bottom line.
Thank you so much for watching.
That was
video.
a More Perfect
If you'd
Union.
like to see more stories like this one,
I'll tell you about it. More Perfect Union on YouTube. They do incredible investigative journalism. We've shown a bunch of their stuff on this stream before, so hope you guys enjoyed that. I think that there are like places. I tried reaching out. There's a place here. There are places online where you can buy like family grown food, especially locally. I would just say, like, if you're not a vegetarian, if you're not a vegan, I would highly recommend, for two reasons, buying locally grown produce. One, you know that it's likely not going to be full of hormones. It's not going to be overproduced. It's not going to have possibly gone on a truck across the country and sat in bad conditions. It also tastes better, and it supports local communities. I know that there's a lot of ways that people fight back in their own ways, but I think one of those ways is to go after these food manufacturers. Is making sure that you're not buying food from these local food manufacturers. It's easy to go down and buy like a bag of Tyson chicken. It's really easy to do that if you want to get some chicken tendies. Or you could buy those tenders from a local producer, and you can learn to deep fry them yourself. I highly recommend. We've got a local butcher shop here. It's slightly more expensive, but it's a million times better. So I highly recommend all of that. How much time do we have? 15 minutes. All right. What do we got left? About 125 left in the gift goal. Let me update on TikTok who's winning the Who's winning TikTok here? I accidentally just closed out Discord. Son of a bitch. Sorry, Jen. I'll be right back. Johnny. Oh, no, not Johnny. Paige in the lead. Oh, when somebody leaves, their coins go away. That's why. Paige currently in the lead. Shrugs coming in second. Johnny Longtrail in third. Cassie and Steel Magnolias. Thank you guys so much for the gifts. 125,000 likes over there on TikTok. You guys are keeping us afloat. I appreciate that very much. Let me pull up Discord. There we go. I don't know what I did. And my outline. What do I have left? I don't know how long this video is. So give me 1 second. This is 19 minutes. I just want to do this. I've been meaning to cover this all week, and we just don't get to it. So I'm going to
joining me now, Speaker of the House.
I want to cover Mike Johnson in his first appearance after passing the big, beautiful bill. Because what I want to show you is how willing this good Christian man, this Moses of Congress, how willing he is to lie to you Republicans. I think that it's becoming increasingly more difficult for as the details of the big beautiful bill keep rolling out and the effects are rolling out. I think it's increasingly difficult for Republicans to defend it. I don't even see Republicans in my chat defending it anymore. I just see the typical like, oh, you just hate Trump. Oh, this is an anti-Trump channel. We don't like Trump. I just want to play this. It's 7 minutes long. Then we'll wrap it up. I just want to show you how willing Mike Johnson is to lie right to your face, and he does it with such joy. This is a person who's deeply compromised, deeply compromised. And there is parts of his life that he appears to not want to share, parts of his life that he appears to demonize outwardly, but privately he partakes in. And I think that level of compromise is how you wind up with a Christian conservative on Fox News Sunday with Shannon Bream making his first appearance and just choosing to go 7 minutes and 43 seconds of straight fucking lies. Rory, thank you. Said, Jay, the porn stash looks great. Thank you. I appreciate that. That is not a opinion shared by all, but it is shared by some, and it makes my heart leap every time somebody compliments it. So thank you.
Johnson, good to have you back.
Christopher, my mustache is not compromised, except for in the middle where it doesn't grow very well. It's a little compromised in the middle.
That state and federal resources have just poured into that area. Is there anything more that can be done congressionally, legislatively to help these folks?
In a moment like this, we feel just as helpless as everyone else does. I've talked to my colleagues there in Texas, Chip Roy and August Pfluger, whose families, that's Chip's district. August's daughters were at the camp. We also
legislative achievement here, which even until the last
moment. So I'm going to
moment,
skip the part about the flood. We didn't need that.
it seemed like it might not come together. You had critics within the GOP. We'll talk about them, but clearly Democrats are not fans. You just heard Congressman Khanna, which I know you're friendly with him, describe what's going to happen in this bill. Here's what DNC Chair Ken Martin said. Donald Trump and the Republican Party sent a message to America. If you are not a billionaire, we don't give a damn about you. 17 million Americans will lose health care, over 5 million will lose food assistance, and millions will lose their jobs. Voters that we talked to in our latest poll very much think that this is going to hurt their family. Put the numbers up there, the largest group.
How does he look 11 and 60? I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Says not going to be good for them. You heard what.
Guys, don't make Jen come up here if you can. If anybody can help with that gift goal, Jen's going to start yelling at me in the comments. She's going to come after you. So if you can, great. If not, no big deal. It was a rough day today on my end. I have not earned the gift goal, but if you want to keep Jen happy, it's helpful.
Congressman Khanna said it's going to make health insurance higher. People are going to lose the assistance they need. And so even if there are tax breaks built in for these different groups, the net offset is a negative.
I love my friend Ro Khanna, but he and the DNC chair there are sharing old, tired talking points. This is what they say every time there's Republican legislation having anything to do with taxes. They are overlooking the actual facts. All that is nonsense.
Yeah, you know why we do that, though, every time? Is because every time you guys cut taxes and the benefits go overwhelmingly to the rich, and you could just do tax cuts for the middle class and the poor, and you don't have to give tax cuts to the rich, but you insist on giving tax cuts to the rich. So it's very easy for us to recycle the talking points. And then the data shows that we were right, and then you guys lie to your constituents, and that's how we're in this cycle. You guys keep fucking up. We tell you you're going to fuck up. Then you fuck up. Then you tell everybody we didn't fuck up. It wasn't a fuck up. It was actually great, despite all the numbers proving that it's not great, and then we're just stuck in this cycle.
And what we did in this bill is we made permanent the 2017 Trump's tax cuts, and that was geared for lower and middle class Americans. In spite of everything they said, the bottom 20% of earners saw their lowest federal tax rate in 40 years. Now we're building upon that. We just made that permanent, and we're building upon it because now we cut tax on overtime and tips and had more tax relief for seniors. And we're giving everybody a tax cut, and that's going to help the economy. It's going to be.
Why don't you just cut their taxes? Why didn't you just cut their taxes? Why did you have to carve out really niche areas like no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime? Which, by the way, like we've covered, it's not. I mean, it's good. It's good for those who have tips or overtime. This is going to benefit you, no question. But why not just cut taxes for them and raise taxes on the rich? They do this. It's such doublespeak. All they ever want to talk about is the small parts of their bill that help people. And they never want to talk about the massive subsidies that they're giving out to billionaires. Why can't you just not cut their taxes? They've never been richer. This is what's so disgusting about this bill is they focus on the shit that they don't actually care about. They can't tell you the truth. They can't come out here and tell you that they signed a massive tax bill that's going to help rich people, and they have no evidence that economically it's going to do anything but make things worse. Doug said, we know what you did to that rug. You do now. Apex Eater said, collapse the U.S. dollar for billionaire tax breaks. Yay!
Fuel. Small business owners, entrepreneurs, risk takers, the people that provide the jobs, manufacturers, farmers get assistance here, and that will lift the economy. The Council of Joint Economic Advisors is expecting a 3% growth rate in the economy. That will be incredible. They're expecting 4 million additional jobs to be added. The average American, the typical American household, will have $13,000 more in take-home pay.
This is crazy. Like, I don't even know where you're getting this. If we go to like AI, we go to Perplexity. Will the average American save $13,000? This number, I'm fairly certain that the way they get this number is they take the tax breaks for everybody and apply it across board. Like, so you take all the tax breaks and then you divide it by, what is it, like 170 working Americans or 170 million working Americans? Let's see. Will the average American save $13,000 in the big, beautiful bill? I mean, that doesn't make sense, right? Because your tax rate is staying the same. How would your tax bracket stay exactly the same? And then you save $13,000. Perplexity is telling me, no, the average American will not save $13,000 from the big, beautiful bill. The most widely cited figure for a typical family's annual tax savings is between $7,000 and $10,000 in additional take-home pay. And that is according to the Ways and Means and the White House. Okay. And so, yeah, that's factoring in everybody. So that's taking the average. For individual workers, the average wage boost is projected at $4,000 to $7,200. Average households earning less than $100,000 receive a 12% tax cut on average, translating to about $17,000 to $3,000 in annual savings. But again, those savings are projected against what the rate would have been if they didn't extend this tax break. So they could have extended this tax break for the middle class and the poor and not given a tax break to rich people. So this is based on the assumption that the rate would go up. They're not actually cutting your taxes. Your taxes are going to stay exactly the same as they are now. But if they went up, that's how they're projecting their savings. Do you see the way that they play this game? Here's what it is. And they say Democrats want to raise your taxes, which they didn't. Harris ran on only increasing taxes on the 1%, or the top 10%, actually, I think it was. Nobody's asking to raise taxes on middle-class Americans. But they come on TV and they say, oh, we did this for you. And they're not, and then they factor in the figure of the tax breaks for everybody. You're not getting a tax break. Your tax status is staying exactly the same unless you get paid in tips or work a bunch of overtime, in which case you're still not going to see $13,000 in tax breaks. You'll probably see somewhere around $7,000 to $10,000. And that's a small minority of the workforce.
It's a great thing for people who go to work every day. And they're going to feel that. And we're excited about the upcoming election cycle in 26 because people will be riding an economic high just as we did after the first 2 years of the first Trump administration. But this time it's on steroids.
We'll get to the...
And by the way, this is just shit they say. We did not run an we were not on an economic high in the first Trump administration. GDP growth stagnated. Wage growth stagnated. Like the rate of increase stagnated. We did not see, there was not this massive boom. There was a one-time uptick in 2018 when all these tax credits hit. You had a one-time infusion and then it leveled off. We didn't have an economic boom. And when he says this time it's on steroids, he's not changing anything for the middle class. He's not changing anything for the poor. So what's the steroids? It's the attempts to cut corporate taxes. It's the massive loopholes. It's writing off private jets. Do you know you can write off private jets now? 100% of the cost? Do you know that? This isn't going to this is just benefiting rich people. We will not see massive GDP growth from this. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But if I'm right, you guys need to stop voting for dipshits. If you don't see 4% GDP growth, if you don't see GDP growth outpace the first Trump administration, then you have to concede that this doesn't work.
Political implications of that, but you talked about these being permanent and across the board. So I want to play something from Democrat
Thank you, Melissa.
Out of Maryland, Congressman Glenn Ivey. Here's what he said.
It's given with one hand and taking away a lot more with the other hand. And, you know, some of the tax cuts that they put.
That was Drew's nickname at work, giving with one hand and taking away with the other.
In place for working class people are time sensitive. They expire in a couple of years, whereas the one for the wealthiest Americans are permanent.
So what about that point that some of these are not going to be permanent for working class people?
No, I don't think he read the bill. It's 940 pages, so I would give some grace on that.
Well, if he was listening on the Senate last Sunday, they were reading it.
Yeah, you're right. For 19 hours or whatever it took.
They weren't reading it. Well, they were reading it. Oh, yeah, you're right. For a long time. David said, from Metalhead Grandpa, I'd love your content. Thank you. Jessica said, great live. Thank you, Jessica. And Robin said, to fend off Jen, the constant battle. Thank you very much for that. Let's keep going.
Here's the thing. If you make between $30,000 and $80,000 a year, you're going to have a 15% less federal tax rate. You're going to save more money.
How? They didn't cut your tax rate. I don't understand what he's saying here. They didn't cut your tax rate. Where is he getting this number? Where are Republicans getting any of these numbers? You know what they're doing? They're taking all the tax breaks and they're applying them across the board, and then they're saying that you're going to get a break. If you didn't change the tax rate, then how are you getting a benefit from the tax break? There's no rate change. How are you getting benefits from a rate change that does not exist? This is what I'm telling you. Like this is absolutely insane that he goes on Fox News unchecked and gets to say stuff like this. They didn't cut the rate. Where are you getting this number? We changed nothing, so you'll save more money. Excuse me?
You're going to keep more of your hard-earned money, and that's not going away. So by making all these tax cuts permanent, it's the largest tax bill, the most important, most consequential tax bill that Congress has ever passed because of what it does for people who go out and work hard every day. We're going to make it easier on them, and all the other pro-growth policies in this bill. We also, at the same time, achieve the largest savings for the tax.
Called deductibles? What do you mean, Casey? It's called deductibles? He said the rate. He's talking about the rate, bud. What did the child tax credit? It increased by $200. He said $13,000. You tell me, where are you getting this $13,000 from? How many fucking kids do you have? What, do you got 1,000 kids? It's a $200 increase in the child tax credit. He said rate. Most people, by the way, if you're in the income bracket of $10,000 to $20,000, you probably don't pay taxes, right?
In U.S. history, about $1.6 trillion in savings. So all those things are going to have a great effect. By the way, in the bill, we're also going to secure the border permanently. We're going to return to American energy dominance again, which is going to also be jet fuel to the economy. We're going to take care of peace through strength.
I don't think this bitch knows what jet fuel is. Energy dominance, we're getting lapped by China. We're nowhere near energy dominance. We're getting absolutely I just showed you that in 2000, we created 3 times the amount of electricity that China did. And now China creates more than double the electricity we do. What do we do? What happened during that time? China invested in renewable energy. We invested in oil, and look what happened.
Because we're going to give important investments in our military industrial complex, which will help us in our competition with China. There is so much in this bill. It'd be difficult for us to cover it in one segment, but people are going to feel that, and we're super excited about what we were able to deliver.
Okay, so the vote to get the bill actually to the floor broke a record. For hours, that vote stayed open. You had a number of GOP holdouts who said there was no way they were going to vote for this. They were very worried about spending and Medicaid cuts and all kinds of other things. And yet they came around. So the question becomes...
Thanks, Cookie Nids. All tips are appreciated, guys. Big and small, almost there. Oh, by the way, fuck Yahtzees. I agree with that. Thank you.
What deals were made? There are a couple of members who've said they were given assurances outside of this bill of other things that they would get down the line.
I don't make deals, never have, since I became Speaker, which is why I'm still surviving with the gavel, right? You have to find out where people's red lines are and navigate through that with what we've had as the smallest margin in U.S. history at most.
Isn't that making a deal? That's a weird thing to say. I don't make deals. What do you do? It's your job.
Points along the way, but we got it done. No side deals. What the extra time?
No side deals. What are you talking about? You had to give $50 billion to rural hospitals. Josh Hawley was just bragging about that. You guys had to buy off Lisa Murkowski by giving like whaling credits. There is pork spending all over in this bill. There are write-offs for every state in this bill. This guy just fucking lies. He just lies nonstop. What do you mean? We didn't give anything away. What were all these tax breaks? What are all these things then? Why are you giving them away? If you didn't, we didn't do any of that. That's all you did. These are all tax breaks.
Time was we needed that for people to process it. Remember, we got the Senate bill on a Tuesday. They modified a lot of what we did in the House. We worked on for over a year. So we needed a couple of days there for everybody to process what all those changes were and ensure that they knew exactly how that was going to be implemented by the administration. So the president, the vice president, cabinet secretaries were engaged.
Seabear, I just highly recommend you go back and watch this show. I've already debunked that shit. Stop saying shit that you just hear. China has been opening new coal plants continuously, yet a small portion may be renewable, but the majority of it's coal. No, it's fucking not. Look, we'll show you the graphic. But I highly recommend you go back and you look at this. Let's see. Where's my graphic on energy production? It is. I think it's here. Nope, that's not it. Here. For those of you who missed this earlier, here is what production looks like in China, and we can look. So China, these are their exports of clean energy. So just listen for a second before you and Seabear, I need you to know that you repeated something you've heard and you didn't fact check this. So I need you to be honest now, Seabear, with what you're talking about coal plants. China's exports for clean energy, lithium-ion batteries, 65 billion. Solar panels, 40 billion. Electric cars, 38 billion. Coal, 3 billion. 3 billion in coal. 3 billion. It's nowhere close. Yes, they have coal. Yeah, or excuse me, that was natural gas. It's 1 billion. Sorry. It's 1 billion. 1 billion is their exports in coal. Yes, they use coal in areas where they don't have renewable energy so they can build renewable energy. Stop just saying shit. You guys all do this. You go, oh, well, we tell you China's doing renewable energy, and you're like, yeah, right, China's lying. They're just lying about renewable energy. Why? Why would they lie and say we're doing renewable energy, but they're actually doing coal? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Only a dumb person would believe that. China has built their renewable energy infrastructure on the back of existing energy sources like coal, like natural gas, and like oil, and they are moving off of all of that. You can see the charts of where they're getting most of their energy now. The biggest gains in China for energy is in renewables. Just go look this shit up. What percentage of we can do it? What percentage of China's energy is coal generated? Let up. I should have had that number. As of 2025, coal remains the largest single source of energy in China, and it is declining. It accounts for 56%, down 39% from 2024. And it's projected to go down another 34% this year. They are weaning off of coal. That's the difference between what they're doing and what we're doing. We are trying to become more dependent on coal while they are weaning off coal. Meanwhile, solar and wind is up 46%. Renewables are now 40% of their total generation. Wind and solar make up 23% of that. The rest is hydro and nuclear. They are weaning themselves off of coal while we are saying, let's do more coal. That's the point here.
In these discussions, answering questions, it was a full team effort, and that's how we got it over the line.
Okay, so Congressman Keith Self said that there had been promises for other offsets outside the bill itself. You talked about Congressman Chip Roy. He said their reconciliation bill. You've said there's going to be more of that. Yeah. He said, referring to promises that Johnson and others said that they would pursue outside of this bill.
Yeah, well, we've been talking about that publicly and privately for a year and a half. We have always planned to do the first big reconciliation bill, which is the big, beautiful bill. Now it's done a huge leap forward for our priorities. But then also we've been planning a second reconciliation bill for the fall that would be attached to the next fiscal year, and then potentially one in the spring. That's my plan. 3 reconciliations bills before this Congress is over. I think we can do that. And so you'll see more.
But I tell you, they never know. They're just, now it's like, this guy just loves China. I'm just giving you data. If you have a problem with data, be upset. Obviously, I don't live in China. So obviously, I don't want to live in China. But I do want to copy what China does well.
Advancing these common sense principles to deliver that America First agenda for the people. That's what they elected us to do. And this was a huge leap forward.
So Democrats say they are excited to run on this bill.
Yeah, right.
A DCCC memo obtained by Axios says Republicans are going to lose the majority in 2026 because of this. They call it the GOP tax scam. They say the more that people know about it, the less that they like it. They're also talking about Democrats holding rallies outside of rural hospitals and nursing homes this summer to tell people that.
This is the Republicans in the chat. Alec, Mike Johnson's spitting facts. Data, I got data. Shut the fuck up with your data. Mike Johnson's spitting facts. Don't come with data. Just trust your gut.
They are going to lose their care.
As I said on the House floor the other day, it takes a lot longer to build a lie than to tell the simple truth.
Yeah.
Our Republicans are going to be out across the country telling the simple truth, and guess what? It will be demonstrated. Everyone will have more take-home pay. They'll have more jobs and opportunity. The economy will be doing better, and we'll be able to point to that as the obvious result of what we did.
No, you won't, because this is the lesson that we learned from Joe Biden, is that the economy recovered from COVID. Inflation got back down into the I think it was like 2.8%. You can check me on that when he left office. But Americans don't care about what that data says. This is the lesson that Democrats learned the hard way, is that we could present the data all day long that said inflation was down, but Americans were still feeling it. And in the midterms, Americans aren't going to care if you say there are more jobs. They're going to care if they're able to pay their bills. When electricity prices continue to skyrocket, when these tariffs kick in and we start seeing prices rise and people can buy less, Americans aren't going to give a fuck that Mike Johnson said this. This is why the Republicans were holding out, by the way. This is deeply unpopular with Republicans. That's why you had so many holdouts, and they had to be bought. And now Josh Hawley is on the campaign trail right now going across Missouri saying, listen, I don't like that we cut Medicaid. We shouldn't have done that. But I did get $50 billion that we're going to use as a slush fund to take care of these rural hospitals. Did you like my Missouri? I shouldn't have done that, by the way. Thank you. My mom's probably watching and she gets mad when I do that. They're all going to have to go out and apologize. That's what they're doing already. They're on those Republicans on the campaign trails are out apologizing for this bill and saying we need to do more work, but at least we got these provisions where we have a slush fund that will keep some of these hospitals open. Your take-home pay is not going to be significantly higher. If it is, I'll eat my shoe. That's fine. I don't see any projection where this makes your take-home pay more. Unless suddenly the richest among us start going, you know what? Fuck it. We'll just pay people more money. We'll just do it. And they can't.
Don't buy into those false talking points.
All right. You've got some polls to overcome. We'll see if the messaging battle is won as you did on the Hill. Speaker, always good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-host
We
Harris
just have the anti-Chinese people. All right, well, let's talk. China's economy is down, hardcore inflation, real estate crash. Oh, yeah, and communism. Yeah, it's because you're a dipshit, dude. That's the problem with you. In quarter one, United States had negative GDP growth. Did China have negative GDP growth? No, they had positive GDP growth, didn't they? Let's not start pointing fingers at China's economy when we're looking at our economy right now. So let's not talk about that. Oh, yeah, and communism. I forgot I have to throw in the word communism. They're not communists. That's a capitalist country. China is a capitalist country. They also have very strong social elements. Just like America. We have capitalism, we have socialism, we have a mixed economy. But zero countries in the history of the world have ever been communist. Because you can't be a country and be communist. You can't be both. Just stop repeating talking points. Be honest with what you're looking at. Look at the data. Look at what the world wants. Everybody's everybody's investing in renewable energy. The Saudis are, the Qataris are, the Chinese are, the Indians are, the Pakistanis are. Every major country is investing in renewable energy. We're the only ones going backwards right now. We're the only ones that are pulling investment for renewable energy. Why do you think that? You think we're just the only smart ones? Every other country's stupid. We're just the only smart ones here. They haven't seen it. There we go. Now we're mad. Now we got them mad. You're an actual dumbass, bro. Refute it. How do we have negative GDP and they have positive GDP? How did that happen? If their economy is in so much trouble, why do we have negative GDP and they have positive GDP? In 2016, 20% of their exports came to the United States. You know what it is now? Before the Trump tariffs, 12%. They've been weaning off America. They've been reducing our leverage. And they've been going around the world building trade deals with everybody. And everywhere in the world right now where you have an option to buy Chinese electric vehicles or an American electric vehicle, almost everybody is choosing Chinese. Why? They're better. Everything that they're doing is in terms of AI, like they're ahead of us on AI. They're ahead of us on quantum computing. They're ahead of us on renewable energy. And we desperately need energy to catch up to them. And we're choosing the expensive energy, which means our government is going to hand out billions and trillions of dollars to invest in energy for quantum computing. And we could have been doing this for the last 20 years. We could be doing renewable energy. So even though it's expensive to get started, eventually the energy itself is renewable and you're just paying for maintenance. You don't have to pay for energy sources. And that's the difference. Because if you're looking at oil, yeah, we have to constantly reinvest in infrastructure. We have to constantly reinvest in new technologies, but we also have to pay for the oil. There's never a scenario where we have to pay for the sun. It's just, it comes up and then it goes back down. And it comes up and it goes back down. We'll never have to pay for wind. You don't have to pay for that shit. You don't have to pay for thermal energy, or is that what it's called? Thermal energy? Geothermal energy? There you go. You just have to pay for the infrastructure. China recognizes that. The Saudis recognize that. The UK recognizes that. Russia recognizes that. Fuck, Israel recognizes that. Israel has this plan to build up renewable energy. That's part of the plan for why they're wiping Palestine off the map. Japan wants to do it this way. Australia wants to do it this way. Everybody in the world wants renewable energy except for some reason the United States. And it couldn't possibly have to do with our corrupt system where lobbyists line the pockets of politicians and get what they want. It couldn't possibly be that. It could not possibly be all of these oil barons lining the pockets of Donald Trump and the Republicans, could it? Couldn't be that. Let me check comments real quick and then we'll get out of here.
Don't forget the story. There's lots of comments that I sent.
What's the story?
The jump soaking.
Oh, jump soaking. All right, so soaking is a Mormon thing. It's a loophole. You're not supposed to have sex before you get married when you're Mormon. So there's this thing that people did called soaking, where basically you just put it in and then you stay there. and you don't move, and so it doesn't count as real sex. And then the second loophole was that somebody would either, if they were bunk beds, they would sit under the bed and they would kick the mattress, or if they were on the bed, they jump on the mattress, and it creates a motion in the ocean, and so it doesn't count. That's what jump soaking is. Let's see. Adam said, please do more exasperated yelling and heavy sarcasm. It gives me life and keeps me awake on this long drive. You got it. I'm losing my voice, actually, after last night. And then let me read what Jen has here. Guys, we need coal for bad children's Christmas stockings. Charles said, so Jen will come back tomorrow. Allie said, I love finishing Jay off. Thank you, Allie. Melissa said, for the dollar train. I think that's all of them. Apex Eater said, maggots think when we criticize our politicians that our coalition is fractioning because they obviously clap like seals when Republicans lie to their face. I did miss that one earlier. And then for Purple Kitty, this is actually from Michael, true blue viewer. Thank you. Chris said, so I give you $50 and then you can shut the fuck up. Yeah, Chris, send that Chris, send that $50. I'll be quiet as soon as it comes in. We'll wait for it. More than happy to shut up for the day. Can I define soaking, but you can define soaking, but not fascism? No, I can define fascism too. Can you define fascism? It's ironic that the people that want to cut education are always like, oh, could you define this word? Fascism is hard to define, though, in all fairness. It's difficult. Depends on what definition you're looking at. Two parties, one bird. I don't know what that means, bud. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. We'll see you tomorrow morning. It's a Thursday morning. Bright and early, 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to 1 Pacific Standard Time in the afternoon. We'll be there Thursday. Then Friday, we've got Friendly Friday. Make sure you're in the Discord if you want to join for Friendly Friday. And then the debate Friday night. I feel like I'm seeing a lot of you guys lately, and it is my absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you guys for the support. Let's check who won TikTok today. I forgot. TikTok winner today appears to be Paige, comes out on top. I think Johnny and Paige actually tied today. Thank you guys so much for the support over on TikTok, on Twitch. Make sure that if you want to watch the debate with us on Friday night and you don't want to be in the white nationalist waiting room, make sure you're subscribed either on YouTube, Twitch, or TikTok. If you're subscribed on YouTube, you'll be able to watch the private event on YouTube. If you're on Twitch or TikTok, you just need to be in the Discord, and we'll set up a private stage to watch it together there. Other than that, you can catch us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook. We have merch in our bio. We also do Cameo. And if you want an invite to the Discord, shoot a message to any one of our moderators. We'll take care of you. Thank you, mods. Great job on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch today. Thanks, Jen. Always a pleasure. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay cute and cool, and have a great summer.